Greg Hughes. He knows all about it.
No, well, I'd pulled over, you see, to see if anyone passed me to go up the road. And when someone did, I says, right, I'll go up too.
Right.
But then I bottled it.
Right, okay.
But there's some nasty old road conditions out there.
Yeah, Minaroy and Mucky's a bit tricky and stuff.
Do you know what's amazing about the roads or about our sort of climate and what have you is the changes. Like, I left the house at 5 degrees and then you get, 4 kilometres up the road and it's -2.
It's probably because the way of the land, the way there's dips and hollows and ups and downs.
Do you think that's possibly it?
But I'm just putting it out
right.
there.
So you think it could be because some parts of Ireland
Low
are higher
lying
than other areas, and would lower lying areas have higher temperatures?
Look at the hills we have and the mountains we have and the height we have to climb.
Who needs my Aaron?
Who needs one we have? Lee Gooch. You're right.
Lee
You're
Gooch.
right. And Greg Hughes.
What was your roads like coming in?
Grand. I was towing a trailer. I don't know if towing a trailer pulls more weight on the van.
Well, it puts a bit of weight on the back wheels, which is always good.
Well, it's front wheel drive.
That's good.
No, but
but there's no weight in the back, you see.
Oh, right, so not going to swing about.
I mean, yeah, so you're pivoted at the front. Back in the day.
So I felt safer with the trailer on the back.
Throw a bag of sand or cement into the back of the car to balance it out.
All right.
Not remember that?
Interesting. What about electric cars in this weather? They're pretty weighty, aren't they, with the batteries and stuff?
I'm not getting into that conversation.
All right, enough.
All right, have a goodie.
Enough's enough.
Take care.
Good luck to you.
It's too controversial, potentially.
All right.
That's my fault there because the bed ran out. All right, it is 9 o'clock, time for news update, and it is over to Donald Kavanagh. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Health unions will hold a lunchtime protest in opposition to the HSE's pay and numbers strategy at Letterkenny University Hospital this afternoon. SIPTU says staffing remains a major problem, with the HSE's own data demonstrating that many key frontline roles have not benefited from record levels of investment in the health service. Meanwhile, FORSA members in the HSE across the country have been voting in a ballot for industrial action since mid-October. That process concludes on this coming Wednesday. The union says current pressures on services are set to get worse as demand rises in the winter months. The 4-week Buy Donegal 2024 campaign gets underway on Monday next, with businesses being invited to sign up to be included on a special portal, and people are being urged to buy from those businesses. Over the past number of years, the hashtag Buy Donegal campaign has showcased almost 400 businesses to a global audience of 13.9 million across more than 70 countries on social media. Glenty's MD Cathaoirleach, Councillor John Hamish O'Farrell, is urging people to support the campaign in the coming weeks, particularly as businesses face ever-increasing costs.
They need to be supported more than ever because the last number of years the increase of fuel, electricity, the cost of living has hugely increased. In the small businesses, they're paying their insurance and they're paying rates to the council, and again they're employing people locally, which is very important. And again, these businesses should be supported by government and by Donegal County Council. And again, it's very, very important that people buy products in Donegal at Christmas.
An election candidate in Donegal says successive governments have abandoned workers in the education sector who've had to take extended sick leave because they were assaulted in the course of their work. Aonthu's Mary T. Sweeney says she's heard many difficult stories of teachers, SNAs and other key educational support workers who have suffered as a result of being assaulted at work. It's an issue, she says, that isn't being addressed by the Department of Education. In one particular case, she said a worker's been out of work for around 2 years, but at present, education workers off as a result of assault still only receive payment for 3 to 6 months. Ms. Sweeney says that must change.
Any issue where it's happening is serious, and the reality is that it's something that needs to be, people need support to keep people in SNEs and teachers in place. Then this shouldn't be an issue. They should be getting support when it does happen. And other areas also in the school buses, I've heard of incidents where SNAs have been assaulted or injured, and but they need support. If they're off, if they're injured, they're sick, they need the financial support to stay at home.
And 64,000 people in Ireland live with dementia, but it could be more. The Alzheimer's Society of Ireland is calling on the incoming government to set up a national dementia registry to take the guesswork out of dementia care. The ASI's Cormac Cahill says the registry is vital to develop proper dementia-related services across the country.
It kind of makes our estimates just that, estimates, rather than evidence-based facts. So there's currently an estimated 64,000 people living with dementia in Ireland, and this number is projected to reach 150,000 by 2045. But with a dementia registry, we'd be able to have an accurate picture of exactly how many people have dementia and where they live.
Weather forecast now and cold with frost and ice lingering throughout the day in sheltered spots. A mix of sunny spells and scattered showers, some of sleet and snow. Afternoon highs today 3 to 5 degrees Celsius in light northwesterly or variable winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
At Energy, we've already shaken up the energy market with the really simple offer, Ireland's cheapest electricity. Now we're shaking it up again with another simple offer, Ireland's cheapest electricity and gas. So the choice is simple. Get Ireland's cheapest dual fuel deal at unoenergy.ie and save up to €900 a year on your energy. With Energy, you just know. Energy discount fixed smart dual fuel rate EAB €2353. For T's and C's, rates and savings calculations, see unoenergy.ie. Suppliers pricing may change.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 20th of November 2024. How are you all keeping out there? I do hope you're very well indeed, and you're safe and sound out on the roads. They are dodgy in places, as we were speaking to Lee. The thing is with our local knowledge, we kind of know, don't we, where the worst parts are going to be, and they are delivering today in most areas, it would seem. But be careful if you're out there, because as I said to Lee as well, the change in conditions is really quite rapid, dependent on where you go. But anyway, we're here to keep you company. We're here to keep you informed and entertained, hopefully over the next 3 hours and throughout the day here on Highland Radio. And we want you involved in the conversation throughout. It's 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Or if you prefer to email, it's comments@highlandradio.com. Okay. Loads to come as we look at the papers, of course. But first, let's have a quick look at this poll that came out from TG Cahir last night. We're going to be breaking this down a little later on. But the opinions that I'm most interested in are yours. So I'd like to hear what you have to say. TG Cahir polled 534 people. They actually engaged a third party to do this for them. 534 across a county the size of Donegal. It's a decent amount. But it does leave a margin of error of plus or minus 4%. Now, that doesn't often mean that it's 4 out in a plus way with one and in a minus way with another, if the truth be told. Some might hope it's not the case. But anyway, just to run through some of the results for you. If you look at the poll, the raw data, and it is only an opinion poll, Sinn Féin look incredibly likely to get 2 seats. Fianna Fáil could get 2 as well. I'll go through the percentages, but Pat the Cope Gallagher, whose posters are all over this area, so they mustn't have broken up the constituency. Pat the Cope Gallagher is polling well. Charlie McConaughey's vote is holding up. He's done very well, apparently, according to TG Cahir and the poll. He's done very well in his own patch of Inishowen, so if he's transfer friendly, Charlie McConaughey looks like he'll be taking a seat there as well, or retaining his seat. Fine Gael are going to struggle to retain a seat. Their vote has gone down significantly between the 2 elections. They got 13.7% first preferences in 2020. According to this poll, now it's down to 12, and it's split 6 and 6. So they would certainly struggle, you'd imagine. Thomas Pringle did really quite well in the TG Cahir poll. He has 11% first preferences. That's compared to actually 7.1% of first preference votes for 4 years ago. So he'll be buoyed by that, you'd imagine. In terms of 100% redress, their candidate, of course, is Charles Ward. And he's polling just 6%, which is equal to John McNulty and Nicky Bradley of Fine Gael. Both of those are on 6%. Mary T. Sweeney of Ain, they're at 4%. Oh, she's at 4%. She got 3.1% of first preference votes 4 years ago, so that is an improvement. Niall McConnell, independent stroke non-party, he's at 2%, and he polled much lower than that in first preferences in the last election. But as I say, as it stands, if you just read the raw data, and it doesn't always work like that, it would look like Sinn Féin with 2, Fianna Fáil with 2, and Thomas Pringle potentially in the 5th. It's not a done deal, but that's the way it would be looking at the poll potentially. So let's have a quick look at Pierce Doherty, 22% of first preferences. He actually polled 27.2% of first preferences in the actual election. Pat the Cope Gallagher of Fianna Fáil at 13% in the opinion poll. That's up from 9.6% of actual first preferences he got last time out. Charlie McConalogue, he's sitting at 12%. That's an increase from the 10.8% of actual first preference votes he got in the actual election. Interestingly, Pádraig McLaughlin just at 11%. He was close on 18% of first preferences in the last election. I mentioned Thomas Pringle. Charles Ward, 100% redress party at 6%. So I don't know. We don't know where these votes are coming from, but it is interesting to note. Is it interesting to note that the 6% for Charles Ward is pretty much exactly the gap between Pádraig McLaughlin's performance in this opinion poll versus his actual first preferences in the last election? Charlie McConalogue, his vote is unaffected by that. So there was some concern that 100% redress party running a candidate, and this is not a blame game, we're just having a bit of analysis here, where have those 6% of votes come from? Obviously, regular people who don't necessarily even vote, or has that chewed into Pádraig McLaughlin's base in his shown? Remains to be seen. John McNulty and Nicky Bradley also on 6%, as I mentioned. Mary T. Sweeney, of Aintu at 4%. Noel Jordan will play a pivotal role in getting Pádraig McLaughlin across the line. He's at 2% in the south of the county. Across the whole county. He's based in the south of the county. Niall McConnell and the Greens through Nuala Carr on 2%. Carol Gallagher, PBP, 1%. Amy McGee, Irish Freedom Party, 1%. Kim McMenamum of the Irish People, Frank O'Donnell of non-party, Jerry McKeevan non-party, and Claudia Kennedy of Fianna Fáil. They didn't register or registered less than 0.5% at this point. So we'll have a look through those a little later on. But very interested to get your views. 08660 25,000. You know, it's not necessarily what you might want. Also interested in your analysis and what you think as well. Speaking of elections, and I'm sorry, I'll get to the papers in a moment, we are very close to finalising our 3 panels for our election debates. They're all taking place next week in the mouth of an election. And I think really, you know, their importance hots up a little bit when you look at the results of that opinion poll, because these debates do make a difference. On Monday, we have Fine Gael's John McNulty, Pat the Cope Gallagher of Fianna Fáil, Mary T. Sweeney of Aintu, Sinn Féin's Pierce Doherty, Jerry McKeever Independent, Arthur Desmond McGuinness Independent, and Frank O'Donnell Independent. On Tuesday, still awaiting confirmation as to whether or not Nicky Bradley of Fine Gael will attend, but confirmed to attend Charlie McConalogue of Fianna Fáil, Niall McConnell of Independent. He hasn't gotten back to us. He didn't involve himself the last time out, probably won't this time, but the invitation is extended. Pádraig McLaughlin will be here. Charles Ward of 100% Redress will be here, as will Vincent J. Bradley. So it's going to be interesting. That's an interesting one on Tuesday, because we have Pádraig McLaughlin, Charles Ward, Charlie McConalogue, and some other great contributors in that panel on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, Claudia Kennedy of Fianna Fáil will be in studio, as will Thomas Pringle and Nuala Carr of the Green Party. Noel Jordan of Sinn Féin is attending now, which is very good news, because we want everyone who's invited to attend. And Kim McMenamum of the Irish People National Alliance will be here as well. So that's next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The debates run from 10 till 12. It's going to be 10:10, isn't it, because of the obituary notices in the news. But you'll be able to listen, of course, on the radio. That's what we do, we're a radio station. But you'll also be able to watch on the usual channels, just as many of you are watching right now. All right, okay, sorry. I just wanted to get through that election stuff because I wanted to poll your views. Brendan Byrne, who knows a thing or two about politics, will be joining me shortly to give his reaction to that opinion poll. And I do note that he noted that the TG Gallagher poll was really quite accurate the last time out, bar overestimating Joe McHugh's vote. Other than that, it was really quite close, so we'll see. And we're also keeping a strong eye on, and I think we're going to have to wait till next Wednesday or Thursday for the Tyrconnell Tribune poll. I presume they're publishing that first in their own newspaper. I'm not being told anything otherwise. Right, lead story in the Finn Valley Voice. Mark your calendars for Sunday, December 8th, as Jackson's Hotel Ballybofey hosts the Twin Towns Concern Bazaar. This year event, it starts at 3 p.m. This year's event is especially significant as it marks the 40th anniversary of our community's commitment to support those in need through Concern Worldwide, said Anne Glancy on behalf of the group, very active group of Concern in that area, no doubt. On to the Nationals. The Irish Independent, Fianna Fáil is facing a backlash from some of its own candidates over the government's approach to immigration. In comments that are likely to move the issue to centre stage in the election, the representatives have pushed back against the development of migrant accommodation in their constituencies. Now, remarkably, in the Leaders' Debate, this was, an aside when it clearly is a big issue for many people in many areas. Longford Westmeath candidate Dymphna Caniff has weighed in behind people campaigning against a centre earmarked for 1,000 asylum seekers in Athlone. Would you want your children walking to school adjacent to the coming and goings of 1,000 asylum seekers awaiting the background checks from countries dubbed high risk as per government documents? That's what Miss Caniff posted on social media after being contacted by the Irish Independent. She denied personally writing the post. Well, listen, that ain't going to fly. That's back to the old days. It wasn't me, I was hacked. You know what I mean? It's your social media. You're responsible for what goes up on it. The Irish Times, Sinn Féin has denied claims that it's planning a €16 billion piggy bank heist as Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil rounded on the party's tax and spending plans. With just over a week and a half left until polling day, Sinn Féin unveiled its general election manifesto yesterday with promises to spend an extra $56 billion inside of additional $41.8 billion capital spend and an additional $14.3 billion in current spending over the next 5 years. This includes plans for a multi-billion euro mini budget in the first 100 days of government and a tax package which would see the eventual abolition of the universal social charge on incomes up to 45 grand. The party's also pledged to abolish property tax, which brings in about 500 million a year and represents about 7% of local government revenue, which is important. We need to know what's there as an alternative. People might not like the property tax, but it is used by councils, not least County Donegal, for matched funding. So, for major projects that there is government funding for, but the local authority has to come up with some funds to sort of match fund that. That's what a lot of that's used. So if you take that away, what is going to replace it? Inside the Irish Daily Mail, and it's interesting because chilling is a word that's often attributed to Sinn Féin for some reason, and no other parties or individuals. I just find it quite amusing the way some words seem to stick to some parties and not others. A Sinn Féin manifesto pledge to commission a review into RTE's objectivity has been branded chilling by the Taoiseach. Simon Harris said the proposed examination into RTE's reporting on the Israel genocide in Gaza and other international conflicts is extremely concerning. Now, this very interested in what your views are in relation to this. And this is not RTE bashing, but the reality is that RTE is the national broadcaster. You watch you watch it. Are you content with the way they cover, say, for instance, and this is not part of Sinn Féin's comments as far as I'm aware, the Ukraine Russia situation? Do you feel that you're getting balanced, nuanced reports, balanced as much as it can be balanced when you've got one big oppressor against Ukraine, or indeed as it relates to the situation in the Middle East? Do you feel that you're getting a news service that you feel is fair and balanced in relation to that? The general election here in Ireland, do you feel that it's fair and balanced, the coverage? Do you believe the way various politicians are questioned or scrutinised? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's fair across the board? The US elections, do you feel that they were covered in a fair and balanced way? I presume that's what they're talking about here. The Taoiseach believes such an analysis of their coverage would be chilling. I don't know what you guys think. But the National Union of Journalism described the proposal as inappropriate and said it would raise the question of state interference in the media. And this is also a reason why I'm not a member of the NUJ. Sinn Féin's manifesto, which was launched yesterday morning, commits to commission an independent human rights and journalist expert review into RTE's objectivity of international conflicts. And I do know, that being said, the motives could be questioned, because I do know there are those very high in Sinn Féin that do not believe that they get a fair crack of the whip on RTE. They're talking about international objectivity. Is it having a pop or a go? I don't know. Irish Daily Star this morning, Vladimir Putin stoked fears he could use nuclear weapons as Ukraine fired its first long-range US missiles into Russia. He had previously vowed to hit back if Western artillery was fired deep into his country. The argument being that these missiles from the United States are so technical that they do actually require US technical expertise to launch and guide them, etc. So he's saying effectively, by a very close proxy, it is actually the US that is bombing parts of Russia. That's just some of the extra commentary he gave in relation to this. He yesterday released a revised official document approving atomic retribution if the country feels under threat, just days after US President Joe Biden gave Kyiv permission to use ATACMS weapons. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean necessarily that he launches, a nuclear missile at London, Paris and Washington. But what it means is that, I don't think it's happened so far before, that Russia obviously has the artillery they could flatten Ukraine in an instant. But amongst that artillery is tactical nukes, which would have a devastating impact on, obviously, people fighting, but also the general population. So when he talks of, at this point, a nuclear escalation, that's most likely what they're talking about. It may also just be a rhetoric, because they do have 10,000 North Koreans fighting with them as well. US President Volodymyr Zelensky warned European Parliament members in Kyiv yesterday that Putin is not interested in ending the war. He said each new attack by Russia only confirms Putin's true intentions. The civil case against Conor McGregor is coming towards its conclusion, and counsel for a woman who's accused MMA star Conor McGregor of rape has told the jury he is a devious coward. This is The Sun. In his closing speech at the High Court, John Gordon, senior counsel, told jury that the plaintiff, Nikki Hand, will always be a marked woman because she stood up to him. Mr. Gordon said the jury told the jury that Mr. McGregor was an arrogant man who should have apologised to Ms. Hand for what he did, and described his client as a woman of courage who had stood up. But the jury has a lot to consider. There's various different bits of evidence from friends that were there as well, so that they've a lot to consider in this. Mr. Gordon said that Mr. McGregor had changed his story during the case, while his client had been consistent in her version of events. And finally, just a health one in the Irish Daily Mirror. A new report on the health of the nation has delivered a damning verdict, revealing half of young adults are in poor condition, a third of them vape or smoke, and 2/3 are overweight or obese. It is the 5th year in a row the annual assessment of Ireland's citizens' health has delivered a verdict of declining fitness. An extra 100,000 adults have fallen into poor health. This is... When you read stories like that, I did read some proposals about VAT increases on attending gyms. We should be doing everything, should we? And I'm not sure who actually proposed that, but we should be doing everything, should we not, to get people into the gym, etc. Okie doke, let's take a quick break. I want to say good morning to Mary Jo. Good morning, Greg, missing my Highland Radio. Mary Jo, we're here for you on Facebook. Good morning, Greg, from a very cold London. Thanks, Kathy. Cass is the burst pipe in Greencastle fixed. I'll check that in for you, Cass. Good morning, Greg, listening in Philcar. Thanks, Sarah. Charlie, good morning, Greg. Do you have a phone number I can call to get the outside temperature raised a few degrees, or maybe you can do it yourself? Our powers do not extend that far, Charlie. If you want to watch the show with the hundreds that are watching already across the various platforms, you can go to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch on your smart TV or your Fire Stick if that suits you through that app. We're on Facebook and on the X platform. Just search Highland Radio anywhere and pretty much you'll find us there. All right, lots coming up, and we'll kick off with our first guest after these.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Sponsor of the 9 till noon show, Kernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham, with ample parking for buses and large groups, delicious breakfasts and hearty lunches. It's the ideal spot for a quick bite or leisurely meal.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
This Christmas, experience magical moments at McElhenny's. Catch up with friends over a coffee in the Old Finn. Enjoy the festivities stress-free with our Christmas gift guide. And let the McElhenny's team help you find the perfect present. Believe in magic this Christmas with McElhenny's.
Easy Living Furniture's massive Black Friday sale is now on. Everything's reduced by up to a whopping 60% off on sofas, dining, bedrooms, mattresses, accessories, and Christmas. Like the new Ashbrook 3-seater power recliner sofa, now only $1,499, saving you £700. Exclusive to Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry. Don't miss out.
Experience the magic of Christmas with the Santa Express at Oakville Park. Take a festive train journey through the frosty forest with dazzling lights to meet Santa himself. Marvel at Ireland's tallest Christmas tree and join the crafty elves for fun and games. The last tickets are available to book now at oakvillepark.com. Starts Friday the 29th of November.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Dunlow and Bunbeg should attend the clinic in the Waterfront Hotel in Dunlow on Tuesday 19th of November, and donors from Ballybofey should attend the clinic in Jackson's Hotel in Ballybofey on Wednesday 20th and Thursday 21st. Making an appointment is recommended, so call 1-800-731-137 or visit our website to book your time. New donors are vital. Visit giveblood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
It is 9:24. Now, be careful. The road from Creasla to Termon is extremely dangerous, very slippy, I'm told, and is actually currently blocked by traffic. That's from one list or another. Traffic is at a standstill from the log cabin in Creasla to Termon. Motorists, please take care. You will be delayed. If there's any other current information on the roads, please get in touch with us because we can pass that on then to others. Right, Brendan Byrne, former Mayor of Donegal County Council, joins me on the show now. Brendan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Obviously, you, like I think the majority of people in Donegal, love the politics because we're so embedded in it and it's in us. The TG Cahir poll came out. It's an Ipsos B&A poll. And it makes for interesting reading. You'd have quite a bit of faith, would you, in these polls, reflecting on how they performed in previous elections?
Well, no poll is 100% accurate. That's the first thing. But in terms of the Ipsos TG Cahir poll of 2020 and 2016, there's a high degree of accuracy in regard to some of the projections they made, particularly the Sinn Féin vote. They seem to record that extremely accurately. In 2020, there was an issue around the recording of the vote of Joe McHugh. It was underestimated, and that caused an issue there. But by and large, the accuracy of the poll is quite reasonable compared to some, particularly when you're doing a constituency poll, which is a margin of error usually of 4%.
Now, we'll go into the candidates, but just looking at the big party breakdown, in 2020, Fianna Fáil had actually 20.4% first preferences. In this poll, their popularity, I suppose you could put it like that, is at 25%. Fine Gael, 13.7% in 2020. They're now at 12%. Sinn Féin from 45.1% now down to 35%. Do you believe that sort of reflects the reality, the trends in Donegal, and I suppose nationally, when we look at opinion polls and where various parties are at, they do seem to align?
They do, but I think more particular, there's a very intense campaign going on here in Donegal. As we're all aware, Patrick O'Gallagher is making a bid to come back to Dáil Éireann, having lost by 200 votes the last time. We also see the redress candidate putting in an effort there to win a seat. He's on 6%. And there is, as you notice, a slight decline in the Sinn Féin vote down to 35%, but they're still sitting with 2.1 quotas, so they're safe for 2 seats at that. The Fine Gael vote is interesting when you take it in the context of the last opinion poll in 2020, when there was a discrepancy in how that was recorded. In actual fact, Joe McHugh was recorded in 2020 as being at 17%, and he actually polled in and around, was it 9.8%? So he was out by 7 points. So that was a significant discrepancy. If anything like that were to occur in the Fine Gael vote, then they go from a position as you look at it now, maybe 0.66 of a quota between the two of them. If there's an increase in that, then they come right into the mix. So I suppose if you look at the opinion poll, the only dead cert I can say is that Sinn Féin are on course to take 2 seats, and they will have a surplus. They'll probably have 5,000 votes more than what's needed to win 2 seats. Fianna Fáil are sitting at 1.5 quotas. That's not a cert. That is not a guarantee to win 2 seats in a
just in relation to that, I want to focus on Fianna Fáil, and you can tease that out a little bit more if you like. According to TG Cahir, Charlie McConalogue is doing very well in a shown, polling well in a shown. He's at 12% in this opinion poll. In terms of transfers, which he would require, if Pat the Cope Gallagher were to take the first Fianna Fáil seat, for an example, he doesn't necessarily have votes to burn that would assist Charlie McConalogue. Would Fianna Fáil have any concerns, in your opinion, as to how transfer friendly Charlie McConalogue might be? Does very well in terms of first preference, but where do the votes come from after that?
Well, as I said previously on Highland about 7 months ago, Charlie is a formidable campaigner. And if you look at the 2020 result and the 2020 opinion poll and today's opinion poll, his vote is rock solid at 12%. It's been consistently recorded at 12%. And if you look at some of the secondary analysis of this opinion poll, he's actually polling extremely well in transfers from Fine Gael and some like-minded independents. So there's no doubt in my mind that he will possibly take the 3rd seat ahead of Pat the Cope. And that brings an issue of then, where does Pat the Cope get his transfers? So if there's any degree of discrepancy in the poll, that second Fianna Fáil seat is very much in the mix. And it would be more in line that it would be Pat the Cope Gallagher that would be in jeopardy. Because if you look at the vote of Pierce Doherty, and we spoke earlier about Charlie McConalogue's vote being rock solid in his own, Pierce Doherty is cleaning up West Donegal to such an extent there's probably 5,000 more votes than he needs. And that is impacting on the opportunity for Pat the Cope to get a dead cert seat.
The coin's in the air then as to whether who gets the 3rd seat between Charlie McConalogue and Pat the Cope Gallagher. But let's just assume one of them does. What is the likelihood of a second Fianna Fáil seat? Because this is being read as Fianna Fáil are locked in for 2. You've quite rightly pointed out that's simply not the case. And look at Fianna Fáil certainly wouldn't want the public to think that's the case, right? A week and a half out from voting, because they don't want people to be unmotivated to vote. So what is the probability as things stand now of a second Fianna Fáil seat in your view?
Well, if you look at the hard 4 data that we have here, we have Sinn Féin with 2.1 quotas, Fianna Fáil with 1.4, 1.5 quota. It's well short of 2 quotas for a seat. Fine Gael in and around 0.6 of a quota, but most significant of all, the other candidates have between them 1.2 quotas. There is 28% of the electorate in Donegal going to vote for candidates other than the 3 Sinn Féin, 3 Fianna Fáil and 2 Fine Gael. There is a 1.2 quotas sitting there that will come into play in the 3rd, 4th, 5th and possibly up to the 10th counts. So in terms of the Fianna Fáil taking the 2nd seat, it very much depends on vote management, and it very much depends if Pat the Cope Gallagher can motivate the west of Donegal to better distribute the votes between himself and Pierce Doherty. And then I see and I note that Fianna Fáil has done a redraw of the canvas areas. That will be advantageous to Pat the Cope.
What is that? Because what I thought quite surprising is that travelling around this part of the world, I'm as likely to see a Pat the Cope Gallagher poster as I am a Charlie McConalogue poster.
Well,
and I'm a long way from Dunlow.
I'm not privy to the Fianna Fáil
No, I'm not
strategy,
asking for an insight.
For 20 years, yes. But I do note well that they have redrawn the canvas areas, given Kilmacrean and Termon and Trenta, Carrigart and Mulroy to Pat, and that's strategically
that would explain
important.
that then. Okay, that would explain that.
That is strategically important if he's to retain that seat. But in terms of this poll, looking at it objectively, it's all to play for. It's still all to play for Fine Gael. They're sitting with 12%. If there's a miscalculation similar to what was in the 2020 poll in their favour as opposed to their disadvantage the last time, they come back into the mix. It's very difficult to make predictions when you have 20 candidates, 5 seats, and a very disparate view of opinion, as I see it in Donegal, on who exactly they're going to give the 5 seats to.
I would have anticipated John McNulty would be at least 3 or 4 points higher than he actually is, to be honest with you, because, you know, he would be trying to appeal not just to, you know, the Fine Gael voters, but also others. He's very active in the business community, the sporting community, and what have you. But anyway, I
think there is a reason for that, and we forgot to mention Thomas Pringle. Thomas Pringle has polled phenomenally well in this opinion poll, sitting at 11%. And I can only surmise from the data that Thomas must be extremely strong in southwest Donegal, and that is impacting on the vote of John McNulty. And then if you look at it in single transferable votes, he has Jordan to the east of him, John McNulty to the west of him. He's sitting with 11%. Those will be eliminated if this poll reflects the reality of the day of the count. And he is in a strong position, but we're basing all this on an opinion poll.
Of course, and listeners get that, of course, because we could all end up with egg on our faces, but we just have to go with what's been released. Pádraig McLaughlin, 17.9% first preferences in 2020, just at 11% right now. Obviously, the biggest issue in much of Donegal, but certainly in Inishowen, is defective concrete. Now, Charles Ward's the 100% Redress Party candidate. Now, whilst he is not standing from in his shown right, you would expect him to poll well in that area if they organise that vote correctly. But he's at 6%. With Charlie, sorry, this is convoluted, but with Charlie McConalogue holding strong on his 12%, can we conclude that Pádraig McLaughlin, although he's safe, with the slip between 2020 and 2024, those wishing to vote for Charles Ward maybe not voting for for Pádraig McLaughlin?
Well, in general elections, local geography trumps a lot. And I'm surmising from the opinion poll that Inishowen is voting for Inishowen. Micah is an issue up there. We all know that, and we're sympathetic and we understand the crisis that is Micah. But people, when they go to the ballot box to elect a government or a replacement government, look at things slightly different. And I'm not being cruel when I say that, but my assessment of this opinion poll is that Inishowen is reverting back to the normal way of electing a government or a replacement government between Charlie McConalogue and Pádraig McLaughlin. Now, Pádraig McLaughlin, in fairness, in 2016 and 2020, his rate in the opinion polls at that time, they have a habit of underestimating Pádraig. And that is because he, no more than the rest, he's a good campaigner. He's out there. He's very good on issues. He leads on issues. He's a champion of issues. So I would expect come polling day that Pádraig's vote will be higher than that 11%. And I would not be one bit surprised if he comes extremely close to the quota. But we're 9 days out from polling. A lot can happen. We could be back on here in 48 hours time with a whole new dynamic. But at this point in time, I think Pádraig's vote will increase.
It gives everyone a kick up the backside, because certainly you don't want any apathy if you've done really well. So you redouble your efforts to drive home any advantage you might have. But also, if you're not performing as you perhaps would have hoped you should, also you redouble your efforts, right? So that's no one, I don't think, is going to rest on the laurels. With that in mind, and given the subject matter, do you think Charles Ward can pick up from that 6% for 100% Redress Party to be in the shake-up for the fifth seat, let's presume?
Well, if you do a direct comparison for Charles Ward to that of Thomas Pringle in the 2020 opinion poll, when Thomas Pringle was recorded at, I think it was 6% in that poll, and in actual fact on polling day he had 7.2%. If that were to happen, Charles Ward, in this poll, then he's back in the mix. Going back to the point that I said, 28% of the electorate are voting for candidates other than the three main parties. That is 1.2 quotas. There is a lot of votes there to play for in subsequent preferences and transfers. So if there is any degree of underestimating Charles Ward's vote at 6%, similar to what happened in Thomas Pringle's case in 2020, then Charles Ward is right back in the mix. And that is when you look at the others that are in contention, such as Pat the Cope, then it could be a straight battle between Pat the Cope and Charles Ward for the last seat.
A caller says here, it really irritates me when people say mica, defective concrete, is an Inishowen issue. It's a Donegal issue, you fool. I'm going to take the fool on that one. There's a reality. There's a reality here. There is a reality here. Is I'm from the south of the county, right? And people are acutely aware of defective concrete. And there's even issues with pyrite in some houses down in that area. And there's no doubt there's a knowledge of it. But unless I'm reading the situation very wrong, and you're a bit further west from me, and you can tell me what the situation is in your backyard, Brendan, it is probably not going to be the top motivating vote, whether people like that or not. This is why Inishowen's offering. We talk about why people might be most motivated to comment on things. Clearly, there's swathes of Milford affected by this as well. The defective concrete. Don't get me wrong, but if you go south of the Gap, it's almost a different country. In some ways, whether people like it or not. There's been this traditional northwest split in Donegal through the media, through politics, and on issues as well. And down there, I'm sorry to say, it's not going to be probably even the top two reasons people might vote. If I'm wrong on that, I'll put my hand up and admit I'm wrong. No. But Brendan, it feels heartless to say, but what do you feel the situation is?
No, in fairness, you're 100% right. The concentration of the defective blocks is Inishowen, South Inishowen, and then in and around Letterkenny as you head towards Milford. Where I live here in Glencolmkill, it wouldn't make the top 10 issues. And that's not me being cruel or blunt. That's reflecting the reality of what the issues are here in South Donegal. As you then progress eastward towards Donegal town, it starts to become an issue, but it's still not in the top 5. Those are the realities. And does that reflect in the opinion poll? This is a county-wide opinion poll, constituency-wide opinion poll. It does. And that is going to be a challenge for the redress
Like
party.
if you're knocking on doors in the Gaeltacht, right? Low-paid jobs, lack of housing, poor infrastructure, access to education, local transport links. I'm sorry, but that they would probably be on a list of issues above defective concrete. I don't understand it myself per se, right? Well, I do understand it. But that, unfortunately, to that listener is not unfortunately, it's what people think. I'm not here to dictate what people think, but it's the reality.
We have to reflect the realities if we're going to give a judgment on an opinion poll. And the reality is, and I'm not on the doors, but I would expect that the cost of living is number one in everyone's mind on the doorsteps. The basic services, access to basic services, and the cost of constructing houses, the access to education, access to health services. Those are the issues.
There's no school dentist in the west of Donegal. That's going to bother a lot of mums and dads who are in good houses. It's
those
just
are the issues
that
will come to the fore in a general election. And that's the challenge for redress, that you have a very emotive issue, an issue that's impacting thousands and thousands of people in Donegal, but it's not geographically spread across the entire county. But that's a challenge, but they can overcome that. And I've listened to some of the debates of Charles Ward, and he has a broad dynamic to him. So that is an advantage to him. How to capitalise on that is now the challenge of the next 9 days ahead for them.
But obviously, you know, in Donegal, we've had a reputation as bucking the trend, you know, thinking a little bit differently, the rebel county or whatever way you want to call it, right? Bottom line, though, Fine Gael Fianna Fáil have 37% of the vote. Fianna Fáil doing the heavy lifting there, in fairness, but that still is two government parties sitting with over a third of first preferences. The viable alternatives are Sinn Féin and Thomas Pringle, and the three are established members of Dáil that have been there for a long time. The record's there as opposition, whether you like it or not. But the overwhelming majority of people in Donegal are sticking with what they know. Either Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, give them a chance, or whatever the phraseology might mean. And Thomas Pringle, who's sat in opposition, done a great job, don't get me wrong, but for quite a long time now. Nothing's emerging beyond that. So maybe we aren't as rebellious and and trend bucking as we might like to think we are.
Well, I would agree with your synopsis. In actual fact, that the outworkings of this opinion poll is that Sinn Féin are on track to take 2 seats comfortably. Fianna Fáil will take 1 seat comfortably, and the next 2 seats are very much in the mix with a strong preference of advantage to Thomas Pringle, and the last seat will be determined, as I see it, between Patrick Gallagher and a combination of Fine Gael and redress, probably ultimately determined on the elimination of a Fine Gael candidate as to who will take that 5th seat. That is what I would extrapolate from this opinion poll, but it's all to play for. There's still 9 days there, and whilst an opinion poll is a snapshot in time, this certainly threw up something that I wouldn't have expected in terms of there is a decrease in Sinn Féin's vote, an increase in Thomas Pringle's vote, probably from the expense of Sinn Féin. Charlie McConnell is rock solid, and it's a strong showing for him. It's the first constituency-wide opinion poll, so he'll take heart from that. His supporters will take heart from that. And likewise, Patrick Cope is in a good position, but is needing further support in order to get over the line. Redress have an advantage in the sense that there is still 28% of the vote there that will be in play on the day of the count, and how they capitalise on that between now and polling day will determine their outcome.
Fantastic analysis. Thanks very much, Brendan. Take care of yourself. That is Brendan Byrne there, just running through the figures as we have them. And I mean, listen, we appreciate this is an opinion poll. This is speculation, but that's what you do, isn't it? All right, we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show, but we do have to take a break.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham. Try our famous trucker stop breakfast. Fresh fish and chips or gourmet burgers. Delicious meals and welcoming service await you at Kernan's.
It's my family, my business. I don't need any help from you people. Keep asking all these questions. Mum and me are fine. I'm gonna leave her alone for 5 minutes. She freaks out. I just don't know how to help her. The note said she's not coming back. I've got no family, no friends. Came over yesterday. Things are kind of normal again thanks to you listening to me every week. I'm feeling better, you know.
Bernardo's changed many children's stories, but we can't without your support. Please donate today at bernardos.ie, because childhood lasts a lifetime.
The apparitions of the Virgin Mary in Fatima are the most urgent and dramatic of all Marian apparitions in the world to date. I am Professor William A. Thomas from the Pontifical Marian Academy at the Vatican, and I will give a presentation on the Fatima events and their urgent messages for the people of the world today. I will also be showing our documentary film, Fatima, The Ultimate Mystery. This presentation will take place on Thursday the 21st at 7 p.m. at the Plaza in Buncrana, so we hope to see you there.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
For all your pharmacy needs, visit the new Brennan's Pharmacy in Letterkenny, now open at the Fort Retail Park right across from the new Dunn Stores and Costa Coffee. With 600 free parking spaces in a convenient location, we're ready to help with all types of prescriptions, medicines, pharmacist advice, vaccinations, plus an extensive range of skincare, vitamins, gifts and much more. Can't make it in? We offer local home delivery within 10 kilometres of Letterkenny, perfect when getting into town is tough. So for all your pharmacy and prescription needs, trusted advice and friendly service, come to the new Brennan's Pharmacy Letterkenny. Call us at 074 970 8060. We're here for you.
All right, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Brian Flanagan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sean.
It's Greg here, Brian.
Greg,
are questioning the issues raised so far in the election. What's your view?
Yeah, I mean, the word TD stands for Teachta Dála, a delegate or messenger to the Assembly. So they're supposed to represent what we're most concerned about. And, I mean, the big one, every news bulletin starts off with it, is the threat of world war that's emerging there in several places in the world. You don't hear any mention of that. It remains, what I hear going on in the media from the various candidates is more like that YouTube video many people have seen of about 20 monkeys diving into a basket of some sort of parcels of goodies, biscuits or something. we're richer now than we've ever been. I mean, there was a lady from Calcutta there back last Christmas. The nurse, Mother Teresa, Mother Teresa died in her arms. But she was shocked, she told me, at the wealth of Ireland in the supermarkets. It's obvious to her, so extraordinarily wealthy we are, So no matter what you get, there's a shortcoming or shortfall.
Are you saying that this person's observation is that the public are very wealthy?
Ireland as a whole is very, very wealthy.
No, not the country, but the people. The people. Do you believe the people are wealthy?
Well, obviously, if the supermarkets are stuffed vastly with goodies,
we've got record numbers of people accessing food banks. There's a gap. There is certainly a lot of people that are well off, but there's more people that are struggling to make ends meet. They're probably not reflected in the supermarkets. We've got record numbers of people, as I say, accessing the Samaritans, not the Samaritans, sorry, but St. Vincent de Paul, food banks. There's a crisis in food banks in Donegal. There's a very high rate of poverty and absolute poverty in this county, Brian.
Yeah, it's all over the country, and you've got a lot of psychological dysfunction. There's nobody to care for a lot of children who have mental disorders, and it seems to be getting worse at a rate of knots. Things to do with the various games that they play on the internet seems to have something to do with it. But we don't hear anything about these central concerns. For instance, I've been at various meetings there recently about what's going on in the schools. This doesn't cost anything for a government to take a hand at. The sex education, daft things like transgenderism and so on. They're pushing kids into areas that are totally against the wishes of their parents, and the various TDs are not saying a word about it that I've heard anyway.
But are the parents saying stuff about it? I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but there seems to be two camps on this. You've got a group of individuals who believe that there is some sort of indoctrination going on. What's happening in schools? There's some sort of very murky reason behind that, and then you've got the majority of parents that I engage with on this program and out and about, and the government stating no, that's actually not the case. That's not what we're teaching in children's. That's not what we're teaching children in schools. That no teacher has ever, any teacher has ever said to me they've any concern about what's being taught in the school ever. Not one single teacher, except actually that there was an over focus on well-being. And there should be more focus on core subjects rather than well-being. Other than that, I would love to speak to a teacher who shares your concerns, but all I hear is third parties concerned about it, not the parents, not the kids, and not the teachers. It confuses me, Brian.
You must be the only person in Donegal hasn't seen the recent revelations. A whistleblower.
No, I saw that, but that was
trained.
But that's what she was that was stuff she was exposed to in UCD in a class for teachers. That's not what's being taught to children, Brian.
Well, indeed it is. And you can see the books. Okay. The books are on the internet there that you can see.
I've seen them. I've gone through them. Yeah, I've gone through them.
Sorry?
But I have gone through them. So you believe that if there's a debate, that these are the matters that politicians should be discussing and debating?
We should be talking about the threat of world war. A lot of weapons are transported through Shannon to these various conflicts. Ireland should be taking a stand. It's a tiny little country, but we had a reputation up to 50 years ago of being, we were well respected across the world as peacekeepers. And that has been frittered away by politicians, more like surfboard riders riding the next wave. They don't represent the real concerns of the people, as far as I can see. We do have all sorts of things. Take, for instance, that lad that's in jail now for 3 years, or the third year anyway, Enoch Burke, for simply refusing to teach that there's any more than two sexes in the world.
Well, that's not why I don't want to go through this again, because I end up being accused of being a lefty, a woke. He's opposed to transgenderism. But that's not why he's in jail. That's not why he's in jail.
Why is he? Why is he in jail?
He's in jail because he refused to comply with a court order to stay away from the school.
A law which is unjust is not a law, and that's the biggest authority in the world that ever wrote. That's Thomas Aquinas. A law that is not just is not a law, and he has every right to oppose it. In fact,
do you not think he'd be better served out of prison using his platforms to actually oppose it, rather than sitting and eating prison food and watching Sky Sports.
Well, I've never spoken to the man. He's a brave man anyway. It reminds me more like Porrick Pierce and the people of 1916 than any of our TDs at the moment. I tell you, it's a disgrace what's happened. We're ashamed in front of the world.
Yet over 2/3 of the people, according to the poll, over 2/3 of the people are going for the established parties and the established independent. There are independents that would perhaps align themselves to your views, Brian, and they're just not getting traction in the polls.
Yeah, but the people have to be mobilised, and there's got to be meetings about these things. It takes a long time for people to shape up. The media have a role to play here, and I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak there. There needs to be more of this kind of thing, where people can voice their views far better than I can,
No, you do it all right, Brian. Listen, thank you very much. I do have to take a break because we're heading towards the weather and the news.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you by Kiernan's Bistros at Letterkenny Retail Park. Our new second location is now open beside the new Dunn stores. Join us soon for good food and great coffee at Kiernan's Bistros, Letterkenny. TFI Local Link Route 271 has been enhanced and renamed to Route 971. Route 971 Alshacoraine to Letterkenny operates up to 8 daily return services 7 days a week and provides peak time and evening services and connectivity to ATU Donegal as well as regional bus services. Save up to 30% on fares when using your TFI Leap card. We're Transport for Ireland, we're transport for you. See locallinkdsl.ie for more. Brought to you as part of the Connecting Ireland Rural Mobility Plan.
Imagine heartburn protection that lasts up to 24 hours. From first thing in the morning to last thing at night. Don't just imagine. Nexium Control gastro-resistant tablets provide up to 24-hour uninterrupted heartburn protection. Nexium Control 20 mg gastro-resistant tablets. Ask your pharmacist. Contains esomeprazole. Used for up to 2 weeks. Always read the label or leaflet.
At Volkswagen, we've really got to know the people of Ireland. 75 years of understanding what you love, how you live, who you are, and the life you lead. So we've brought you one much-loved car after another. From the original Beetle, the iconic Golf, to today's family-friendly Tiguan and our all-electric ID range. Knowing that whatever you choose, it's you who makes it your Volkswagen. Celebrating 75 years in Ireland. Order your new Volkswagen today.
Give the gift of beauty and rejuvenation this Christmas with the voucher from Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Edore. Your loved one can choose from a range of transformative treatments, including PDO thread lifts and skin boosters designed to improve facial contours by lifting and tightening the skin. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin concerns. Christmas party hair and makeup packages available. Secure your voucher at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Edore on 07495 325 75.
Stay warm for less with your local Homeland this winter. Home Fire Fire Gold Smokeless Fuel, buy 10 bags, get 1 free. Cozy Home Fire Log, buy 3 for €5. Hardwood Logs, buy 2 bags for €12. All this and more. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie. Local and nationwide delivery available.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhinney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhinney's.com.
Cold today with frost and ice lingering through the day in sheltered spots. There'll be a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of sleet and snow. Afternoon highs just 3 to 5 degrees. Very cold and largely clear tonight, and scattered showers of sleet and snow. Frost and icy stretches will develop with lowest temperatures of -4 to -1 degrees. So, by the way, there's lots of fun and cracking music with Lee Gooch on the Naughty Alarm Clock. But if you don't ordinarily listen, and you should, don't forget that it is live traffic updates as well, effectively. It is a network of our listeners all across the region out on the roads first thing in the morning, sharing the conditions of the roads as well. So really, when the mornings are dodgy, let me put it like that, on the roads, an extra reason to listen to the Naughty Alarm Clock, because you'll get up-to-date information on the traffic. Great stuff coming up for the next 2 hours, but we're going to listen now to the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham. Try our famous trucker stop breakfast. Fresh fish and chips or gourmet burgers. Delicious meals and welcoming service await you at Kernan's.
Tá lán winní nas an bríomhifig stadribh nó CSO chuile hort óla se bhailiú. Denimid rudí mar seo chomh. Tír is teanga, bás is batha, sláinte is táinte, óg is éasta. Denimid chomh freisin Halbhíocht is tionscalaíocht, ilúntas idichas, títhíocht is teilig, gan trocht freisin fionta. Tá ólas mar seo tábhachtach tus go muí tar cinnti móra náisiúnta Dar nóí ní éitoch mud seo a dhéanamh gan sibh. An CSO, brathagaí uirinn, tá muid ag bratharaibh se.
Order your 251 Suzuki from Barry Brown Cars, your main Suzuki dealer in Donegal. Enjoy 0% finance and a 7-year warranty on your 251 Suzuki, one of the most reliable and cost-effective brands available. Visit Barry Brown Cars in Milford or Donegal Town now to secure your 251 today and take advantage of these fantastic offers.
Make Christmas for everyone with unmissable Black Friday deals at Dunnes Stores. Pick up a Tassimo or Dolce Gusto coffee machine and selected coffee pods, now half price. And impress with a new Tefal 8.3 litre dual air fryer, just $99.95. That's a saving of €50. Plus, you can save again at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. However you do your Christmas shop, make Christmas for everyone with Dunnes Stores. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in the next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Hi, I'm at the Garda station, but it's nothing. I told this girl I was seeing for a while that I'd put shots of her up online. Shots she sent me, so they're mine really. I only said I'd do it, but the guards are saying that's a crime now. It's not my fault, Mum. I didn't do anything. I only said I would.
Threatening to share intimate images is a crime with serious consequences. Contact your local Garda station if you need to report it. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Health unions will hold a lunchtime protest in opposition to the HSE's pay and number strategy at Letterkenny University Hospital today. SIP2, FORSA and the INMO will protest at what they describe as the HSE's suppression of thousands of health posts. FORSA members at HSE employments across the country have been voting in a ballot for industrial action since mid-October, with the process concluding on this coming Wednesday. Assistant General Secretary Michelle Connaughton says this reflects the seriousness of the situation.
The number of vacancies in the area are massive for even a small region like Donegal. For example, we've got a clerical and admin vacancies in the hospital of 20 and 30, a very complicated approval process. In the community, we've lost development posts. We've got a reduction in OT in adults and paediatrics for assessing people in their home and getting them out of hospital. So as you can see, there are so many concerns that FORSA has.
The outgoing coalition government holds its final cabinet meeting before the general election today. Political parties, meanwhile, will continue to unveil their policy proposals ahead of polling day on Friday week. With more, here's Stephanie Rowan.
It's now 10 days until the general election, and this morning the outgoing coalition government will hold its final ever cabinet meeting. There are no major policy decisions on the agenda. It's expected that Taoiseach will brief ministers on his recent telephone call with incoming US President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the hustle for votes continues as the political parties will unveil more policy proposals this morning. Sinn Féin and Fianna Fáil will both outline their plans to help those with disabilities. The Social Democrats is launching a positive neutrality policy. The Green Party will publish its Charter for Children. And People Before Profit will outline plans to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine.
The 4-week Buy Donegal 2024 campaign gets underway on Monday next, with businesses being invited to sign up to be included on a special portal, and people locally urged to buy from those businesses. Over the last number of years, the hashtag Buy Donegal campaign has showcased almost 400 businesses to a global audience of 13.9 million across more than 70 countries on social media. Glenty's MD Cathaoirleach, Councillor John Hemish-O'Farry, is urging people to support local businesses in the coming weeks, particularly as their costs are rising.
They need to be supported more than ever because the last number of years, the increase of fuel, electricity, the cost of living has hugely increased. In the small businesses, they're paying their insurance and they're paying rates to the council, and again they're employing people locally, which is very important. And again, these businesses should be supported by government and by Donegal County Council. And again, it's very, very important that people buy products in Donegal at Christmas.
A general election candidate in the county says successive governments have abandoned workers in the education sector who've had to take extended sick leave because they were assaulted in the course of their work. Enthus Mary T. Sweeney says she's heard many difficult stories from teachers, SNAs and other key educational support workers who've suffered because they were assaulted at work. She says one particular worker that she's been aware of has been out of work for around 2 years, but at present education workers off as a result of assault only receive payment for 3 to 6 months. Ms. Sweeney says that must change.
Any issue where it's happening is serious, and the reality is that it's something that needs to be, people need support to keep people in SNEs and teachers in place. Then this shouldn't be an issue. They should be getting support when it does happen. Another area is also in the school buses. I've heard of incidents where SNEs have been assaulted or injured, and but they need support if they're off, if they're injured, they're sick. They need the financial support to stay at home.
64,000 people in Ireland live with dementia, but the figure could be higher. The Alzheimer's Society of Ireland is calling on the incoming government to set up a national dementia registry to take the guesswork out of dementia care. The ASI's Cormac Cahill says the register is vital to develop dementia-related services right across the country.
It kind of makes our estimates just that, estimates, rather than evidence-based facts. So there's currently an estimated 64,000 people living with dementia in Ireland, and this number is projected to reach 150,000 by 2045. But with a dementia registry, we'd be able to have an accurate picture of exactly how many people have dementia and where they live.
Weather forecast: cold today with frost and ice lingering through the day in sheltered spots. A mix of sunny spells and scattered showers. Some of sleet and snow. Afternoon highs of 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. Light northwesterly or variable winds. Just to remind you, we have been receiving reports of some very slippy roads around the county, particularly in the area between Creasla and Termon. So do be aware that there are very slippery roads out there still this morning. We're back with news headlines at 11. In the interim, check all of the latest news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 20th of November. The death has occurred in Surrey, England, of Bridget Bridie Brooke, née Patton, formerly of Balnacore, Crossroads, Killygordon. Remains reposing at her niece Patricia McGovern's residence at Drumavish, Crossroads, Killygordon, tomorrow evening from 5 until 10. Funeral from there on Friday morning at 10:20 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the Killygordon Parish YouTube channel. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Patrick Joseph Logue, 44, Cedar Grove, Carndonagh. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Roisin Kelly, née Sweeney, 64, Laurel Drive, Strabane, formerly of the Crescent, Clady, reposing at her home from 5 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there on Friday morning at 9:20 for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Jerry McLaughlin, 15 New Street, Clady, formerly of Stanley's Walk, Derry, reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 11:15 for Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Dunnyloop at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the Dunny Loop Chapel YouTube channel. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Get into the festive spirit with amazing Christmas value at Aldi. A choice of festive party food, including mini veggie spring rolls from just 99¢. Unbeatable value on Guinness 12 500ml can pack, now only 19.88. And oh crumbs, wait till you hear this. From November 21st, Elite chocolate tea cakes, now only €7.99 each. Save €5. Aldi, have a cracking Christmas. While stocks last, quantity restrictions apply. Get the facts, be drinkaware, visit drinkaware.ie. Deposit return scheme may apply.
You're very welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till noon show. Thank you so much for all of you texting in. The caller says Brian sounds wealthy. Another, Greg, aren't we ignoring the burning issue for many parents? Exclusive school toilets for their transgender. How many underlying this concern decides the vote in Donegal? What is a toilet for transgender children? I'm not being smart here. I genuinely don't know. And what schools specifically have toilets that are allocated for transgender children or teens? And what is in case I'm missing it and I don't want to misrepresent your views, what needs to change there? So text me back, tell me the school, how it works, and what are your actual concerns. Is it being accommodated at all, or what is it, please? And let's discuss what that caller describes as the burning issue. Remember the areas 100% redress candidates were elected in. Many people are afraid to speak out about it, and many are still burying their heads about it. But will the secrecy of the ballot box allow them to speak out? Disabilities are not getting a look in because all the talk is of defective blocks. It's time the 100% redress realise there are more issues than one concern. The one thing I'll say about that, if you don't mind, is that there are many people with disabilities in defective concrete blocks as well. These aren't separate issues. One doesn't negate the other. I'm very surprised that Charlie McConnell is polling so well in his local area of Inishowen. This is not how we feel on the ground. We feel that he's not spoken out for us defective block homeowners, and we're on our knees. I'm in no way a Sinn Féin supporter, but I feel that Pierce Doherty is the only one who spoke out for us. Charlie McConnell cares more about farmers and what he can do for them than defective block homeowners is one opinion there. All these polls mean nothing. It's a popularity vote, says a listener. I wasn't polled, nor was anyone I know. And there are people on that poll that are only 2% that will get my number 1 and number 2 vote and number 3. All the other candidates who I don't want to vote for won't be getting my vote, so their names will be left blank on the voting card. Now, the problem there is just to understand the situation is that you're one person, right? So your opinion poll is an opinion poll of one, whereas the opinion poll that was published yesterday evening is an opinion poll of 534, which is a sample size which gives a plus or minus 4% degree of accuracy. A caller says, did you not see what happened in the USA polls? Indeed. Did you not see what happened in the referendum polls? You don't have to go over to the United States to see that polls don't matter. The only thing I'll say in relation to this is that this is an election. It's sort of like a first past the post poll. It asks, 535 odd people, which is a decent representation of the population, what they're going to do. There's less nuances as there are in the United States, and there was. It's very hard to poll in. It's very hard to poll in the United States. But he accurately did poll 50%. Really, that's what the polls did show, that it was neck and neck, and it was when the dust has settled, it's kind of neck and neck there. There was one person who did the Ohio poll, and she got it completely wrong and is actually retired from polling now as a result. The last election, the TG Cahir poll overestimated Joe McHugh's vote and underestimated Pádraig McLaughlin's. I'm not sure what areas they polled, but there's no way Charlie McConnell is polling at 12%, which is higher than what he got last time out. I would say he's closer to 8 or 9%. Pádraig is polling higher than 11%. Either way, it looks like Fine Gael are losing their seat. Sinn Féin are taking 2. Fianna Fáil definitely 1 and maybe 2. Pringle could lose out. Pringle's in a good situation unless he's been overrepresented. Another caller says, I agree, RTE News always starts with what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, when I think they should be talking about what's going on in our own wee country. Back to the election, though. Defective concrete is not just an Inishowen issue. Letterkenny area has several housing estates impacted, many thousands of people, of course. And we've been covering defective concrete on the show for many, many years, as you would know, right from the very, very beginning. The only thing is, and it's not, we can't either pretend the situation isn't what it is. Of course, there are areas of Donegal whereby it's going to be a motivating factor to vote, but one has to also accept that in some areas it's not going to be of Donegal. It's not going to be the principal area of concern. And some areas really quite close to Inishowen as well. Re-election, it's very obvious that RTE are highly paid puppets representing the government financed by ourselves, the taxpayer. And the reason they're evidently down on Sinn Féin is that they and the government representatives are in the tax bracket that would be affected if Sinn Féin were in government. I don't know. But if a government personally signs off on a €750 million package, is that going to influence how you cover things? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but €750 million is quite a sweetener. RTE have been utterly biased against Sinn Féin for years. Every time Israel murdered children in Gaza, RTE talked about hostages. In their coverage of Ukraine, they never mentioned NATO's plans to station nuclear missiles on Russia's border, or the fact that Zelensky was never elected as Ukraine's president. He was appointed by NATO, is what they're concluding there. That opinion poll by T.G. Cahir had several questions, not just who was getting you number one. It also asked questions like who you would like to see as the next Taoiseach and several more. Will they reveal the results of these questions? I presume so. But listen, they've got a good... They've spent a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to do these polls, or a lot of effort. And they've got a good chunk of information, and they're probably going to leak it out, to stagger what they reveal, perhaps. A 4.3% margin of error is huge. That's about 3,500 votes. If Donegal people vote two Fianna Fáil politicians back in, then they can kiss goodbye to any form of 100% redress for their homes. Empty promises from Fine Gael to include community buildings. It won't happen for about 3.5 years, just before it's election time again. Now, you see, I get where you're coming from, but every poll is a margin of error. And sometimes I think we can evoke the margin of error if we don't like the outcome of the poll. But normally it's plus or minus. It's not necessarily +4 for one and -3 for another, though that has happened in the past. Greg, when Charlie McConalogue has refused to interact with Highland Radio's top programme, I feel he shouldn't be afforded the opportunity to speak during the debates. I don't. In relation to that, the invitation has always been an open one for Charlie McConalogue. We contact him regularly to come on and speak on the issues. That's it. I don't. I wouldn't use this show or the position I have here at Highland Radio in any way like that, to be honest with you. Individuals are entitled to make their views known. People listening to this show will be able to make up their own minds from all of that as well. But I'm certainly not a bitter person, and I'm certainly not someone that would hold a grudge, and I'm certainly not someone that would abuse the situation. I honestly can't believe why people could possibly still vote for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, etc. They've had decades to change, but they've just made everything worse, and now more false promises that won't be fulfilled. They've ruined our country, believes the listener. Another, never trust the media's polls. Haven't you learned from anything? The anti-Trump bias in the US election. The US polls, the US is very different to here. The polls could be as far out as Fanad Lighthouse. I get you, don't get me wrong, and I'm not here backing polls because I haven't a ton of faith in polls. But this is a simpler type of poll that's less likely to be skewed, though not immune from that. If RTE said it was raining, I would go outside and check. After 600 million plus, they're the government's mouthpiece, 750 million. After 600 plus, they are the government's mouthpiece at the cost of the taxpayer again. I'm not a shinner, but RTE should never have been funded by our money, not worth the licence fee. There is media outlets who don't spout BS. Frankly, Greg, in the conversation of RTE, that broadcaster doesn't recognise Letterkenny, the biggest town in Donegal. Their broadband Wi-Fi is also getting blurred with pickles. Also, Simon Harris ignored Letterkenny and never shows St. Patrick's Day Parade. That should be investigated. Okay, there's a lot in there. Maybe some autocorrect, but I think the main points of that was gotten across. And on another issue, Gardaí have released images of over 100 people in the riots. What about the guy who stabbed 3 children and their teacher? Where is the justice? Well, he's arrested, charged, and in prison awaiting trial for that horrendous stabbing of those children and their teacher. So he's locked up. Oh, do you remember Bridie in Knockalla, who was on with us? The street lights had been out for 9 months or something along those lines. There was no light in the area of Knockalla at all. We spoke to her last week, and the lights are back on, which is good news, isn't it? So the lights are back on, all good news. So it does pay. It pays to talk, don't they say? Right, okay. Keep your calls, comments coming in.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 20th of November. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €400. The reference number is S13. It's game number 47. The numbers are 14, 20, 59, 43, 18, 6, 70, 72, 57, and finally 19. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Have you got your tickets for the Highland Radio Christmas concert? Get ready for a night of great music on Monday, December the 9th in the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. You can enjoy an incredible lineup with Mike Denver and his band, John McNichol, Jim Devine, Donna Taggart, Owen Mack and me, David James. Get your tickets now at the outlet at highlandradio.com, Alexander's Bala Buffet, the Cope Dunlow, the Mount Erigal Hotel, Simpsons Bar Carndonagh, or give us a call on 074 91 25000. Don't miss this Christmas cracker.
Thinking of getting a new car in 2025? Why not get one in 2026 as well? Buy a selected 251 Nissan and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan for free. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
With more routes nationwide, your TFI Local Link bus service provides connection to the wider Transport for Ireland public transport network. Save up to 30% when you use your TFI Leap card on TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
You might think it's just a cold, but for adults over 60, it could be more. RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus, is highly contagious and can cause serious complications, like pneumonia or breathing problems. If you're over 60 and have other health conditions, your risk may be even higher. Stay informed. Protect your health by knowing the risks of RSV. Talk to your healthcare professional for information on RSV vaccination. This message is supported by Pfizer Healthcare Ireland.
Sponsor of the 9 till noon show, Kernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham, with ample parking for buses and large groups, delicious breakfasts and hearty lunches. It's the ideal spot for a quick bite or leisurely meal.
Now, Gertrude Houghton is Gambling Support Counsellor with the Finn Valley FRC. Good morning to you, Gertrude. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you for allowing me to come on this morning.
No, it's an important issue and we cover regularly on this show given its importance. We are in the midst of Safer Gambling Week 2024. Talk to me about the campaign and what's the aim of it, I suppose.
Okay, Greg. I suppose it's an annual event. It's I suppose becoming more now in Ireland. It's in the UK and Northern Ireland longer, but now this is there to just, I suppose, stimulate safe conversations around safer gambling and make people aware that there are supports there for people. That, again, hopefully people who are gambling, it'll help them maybe highlight, am I gambling too much? What am I doing? Am I spending more than I should? And then, is there things out there that I could be doing to stop this, or also maybe to cut down on it? The tools that are available out there to help them gamble more safely all year round.
It's so tough because it's almost like trying to empty a lake with a cup, because you're competing with so much else. You're competing with advertisements. You're competing with sponsored content. You're competing with... I'll tell you a little story if you'll just indulge me, actually, Gertrude, at the moment. This is in terms of when people start gambling. I've often mentioned on this show that we're sort of conditioned very early on, in terms of, say, for instance, if you're playing a game like FIFA, which many of our young people are, or Fortnite, lots of other games where you open something, okay, and there's a reveal and there's a gambling element to it. It kind of conditions the brain, and it always concerned me how early it started, and I always question those motives. It can't be a coincidence. I downloaded a game on the tablet for Hudson to play. It's for 2 to 5 year olds. It's an educational one. And what do you think what forms a major part of the game? A fruit machine. Can you believe that? A fruit machine.
Oh my God!
So you load up the fruit into the holes and you pull the one arm, and they rotate and they fall down, and you either win or lose. And I was like, this is for 2 to 5 year olds. Maybe someone designed it and didn't realize the implications of it. But you're already sort of planting that seed of chance, of disappointment, of exhilaration. When the right things fall. But anyway, this is what we're against. That's the point I'm trying to make, Gertrude.
Yeah. And I suppose that's what parents are facing now all the time as well. And then that's, there's other people out there. Like, Greg, we all to a certain degree will gamble, do now and again, maybe do €5, €6 on the lotto or a scratch card for birthdays,
Grand
things like that there.
Or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And maybe once a year people only do that as well, some things and that. So, like, we're not trying to stop, or to say things about that. It's when it comes then, when it's affecting, family life, it's affecting your own life. It's when you start to tell lies. And then those lies, increase then. And before you know it, you're doing things that you never thought you would. Like, I'm privileged, that clients put their trust in me and come before me and tell me stories of things that have happened to them, sad stories. And we want just to highlight that there is a huge issue out there. Don't be in isolation. Don't, stay on your own thinking it only affects you. There's supports out there. Come and talk about it. Get further advice and support. And then the other side is maybe a family member who knows that somebody in their family has an issue with gambling, doesn't know what to do about it. You also can make contact. Come and get support and find out what you can do. Maybe for some of them, they might be allowing this to continue, and the things that they can do.
It creeps up on you very easily. I remember when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I worked over in England for a few years, and I worked in pubs and what have you, and fruit machines were in there. And I'm not sure, I don't know if I was addicted to them, but my word, they took up an awful lot of my brain space. And I found myself very quickly at the point whereby you would easily drop a tenner in and then you'd win £5. And there was this thing really, you'd walk around and say, how did you get on? Because everyone would see that you were at it. And you could see everyone looking because their money was in the machine, right? And they kind of felt they had ownership of it. How did you get on? You'd say, yeah, it's crazy. And then they'd say, how did you get on? I'd say, well, I won a £5, right? But you'd never mention the 10 that you put in to get the 5 right. If you were lucky to get the 5 out. And I had to make a conscious decision not to use them because I found that I wasn't getting paid very much, and I found that I would put my last bit of money in them. As I say, I don't think I had an addiction, but I certainly had the beginnings of it. But I also had those early signs of masking, on a very low scale. And I'm just thinking of the fellow or the woman that dumps all their money into online bingo or into a casino, and they go home, where's the money? You know what I mean? You can see how quickly it starts having impacts on people's lives, Gertrude.
Yeah. And Greg, for a lot of people, maybe neighbours, friends wouldn't even know where they've been, if they did say go to a casino or that, but they can do it online. They don't even have to leave their home. But, that's shame for them then. So that a lot of the time they don't tell. And then they get themselves into further problems and further debt. And then their family, maybe there's where bills aren't being paid, mortgages aren't being paid. Children are affected, not being able to go to the events or activities that they should be able to go to and things because the money's not there. And yet this might be a family that's with 2 people working and, you're wondering, how could they not have money? But, sadly, there could be somebody there that's spending a lot of money gambling. And, these are people that, okay, they say that it can be hereditary. And I know that I would have, stories from people who grew up going to places, arcades with their parents, and then they continue to follow on that.
Yeah. And I think if you have any tendency for compulsive behaviour, or even any mild anxiety whereby you can have sort of circulating thinking and that kind of stuff, I think you'd be more, and I think that was probably my issue, Gertrude, I think that you'd be more disposed to a gambling addiction. I'm not a gambling expert, but and there's a lot of us. So that makes you realise and understand how 130,000 people are experiencing problem gambling in Ireland because of the level of concealment. Is that a significant underreporting? We just simply don't know. But I know for a lot of people listening, Gertrude, they often would put this ahead of alcohol abuse and drug abuse. Not that there's necessarily a hierarchy, because it's never talked about, and lives are being devastated. And what can follow on from that? I don't know, domestic abuse. Who is to say where it goes from there? But families destroyed.
Yeah. Exactly, Greg. And like you mentioned there about, at a young age going into the slot machines and arcades and that, and like that's where there's a family in Northern Ireland who very much they are part of the Gam family, and they go around talking because they lost their son, and they feel as a result of gambling. What happened was he was at school waiting between school buses, and he spent his time going to the machines. And then, he went to university and whatever, and it never stopped. And sadly, he took his own life. So they failed as a result of the debts and, the helplessness that he got into, that's why he done that. And there's loads of stories like that, Greg. And hopefully, we don't want families to come to that. So that's why we're saying, reach out, talk about it. Look for support.
And there are ways to gamble responsibly. And this is not about saying, gambling is terrible, never ever do it. It's about safer gambling. So there are tools available to help people gamble more safely all year round. The one thing that I would always remind people, yes, you can do it for fun, but the bookies always win. And if you start winning, they switch your account off. That's so you're never going to get rich in a bookies, because as soon as you start winning, your account can randomly get shut down. But there's also lots of resources and sources and helplines available. So just run through the supports that are there, the event that's taking place, and tell us more about how people can engage with this this week.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying because it is Safer Gambling Week, we wanted to do something to highlight it. So today down in Cara House there in Letterkenny, we are having a coffee morning from 11 to 12:30. And we just, if people want to call in, they'll get a free cup of tea or coffee, which is nothing unusual in Cara House. But this time you might get a scone with it or a wee treat. And I will be there, and I'll have some leaflets and that, just letting people know that there's support out there. Now, I'm one of over 23 nationally family resource centres that provide gambling therapy and support service for families. So we're scattered all around Ireland, based on family resource centres. And there's also a helpline there that people can access, which is manned by Dunlewy. And all these, there's also services where people now can go for residential care specifically for gambling. There's beds available for that. And that's all as a result of gamblingcare.ie, whatever. They have put the funds into that there now. And they've taken that money from bookies and that. But now with our new gambling regulation, there's going to be a tighter hold on things, and I suppose when ads can be put on TV, even around when people can gamble and things, hopefully there'll be more blocks on that.
Yeah, but they'll switch they'll switch their resources. They'll switch their resources elsewhere. Let's not forget when they tried to restrict how drink was advertised. Next thing you know, 0-0 exploded all over the place, and these thinly veiled drink responsibly ads, which are actually promoting drinking, popped up all over the place. So, I can understand the legislators, what they're trying to do, but I also understand there's so much money here, it can be gotten around. It's never too early, I don't think, or never too late to speak about gambling. There's a free, confidential national helpline service. It's available 365, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. for individuals affected by their own or family member problem gambling issues. 1-800-936-725. And they establish... And we pump millions and millions and millions into horses and greyhounds in this country, astonishingly, but anyway, we do. But if there's a gap, if there's a gap in the day where there's not a live race somewhere in the world, they actually contrive to get one somewhere, even if it's in an empty stadium somewhere, just to make sure that there's something that someone can gamble on. That's literally where we're at. All right then, Gertrude, thanks for your time. Yeah. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much.
Said, my details are online, Greg, and if anybody wants to pop in today to Cara House or they want to, phone me, my number, my details are there, and even just for a chat over the phone.
Yeah.
But just don't suffer in silence. Okay. Thanks very much,
Gertrude,
Greg.
well done to Gertrude Houghton, Gambling Support Counsellor, Finn Valley FRC.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham. Try our famous Trucker Stop breakfast. Fresh fish and chips or gourmet burgers. Delicious meals and welcoming service await you at Kernan's.
What's gravity? When does the grass grow greener? Can people with longer legs jump higher? How are plastic cups made? How filthy are our parents? Which ingredients make the best slime? Why do we dream? Are you faster than a calculator? Could a robot be powered by fruit or vegetables?
Kids are full of curious questions. ESB Science Blast, delivered by the RDS, empowers children to investigate the science behind simple questions just like these ones. Find out how your school can get involved at esbscienceblast.com.
Easy Living Furniture's massive Black Friday sale is now on. Everything's reduced by up to a whopping 60% off on sofas, dining, bedrooms, mattresses, accessories, and Christmas. Like the new Ashbrook 3-seater power recliner sofa, now only $1,499, saving you £700. Exclusive to Easy Living Furniture. Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry. Don't miss out.
Looking for your number one stop shop that's got it all? Then make John McNulty's convenience store and top oil service station in Stranraer, Donegal your number one destination. Whether you're topping up on petrol or diesel, stocking up on solid fuel, or grabbing a delicious bite from their hot deli, John McNulty's has everything you need. Convenience, quality and service, all in one place. Because at John McNulty's, they put you first. Visit John McNulty's today.
For all you hard workers and multitaskers, those who come to work with big ambitions and bigger ideas, and all you legends of the trade, however you get the job done, there's a Volkswagen commercial vehicle for your business. Choose the new Transporter, Caddy Cargo, Crafter, Amarok, or the all-electric ID Buzz Cargo. Enjoy HB finance from 0% or purchase contributions of up to €2,000. Find the Volkswagen in you with the 251 range. Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Visit Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny. Order now at connolly's.ie.
Join us for a festive evening at Homeland Letterkenny on Thursday, 21st of November. Save 20% on all Christmas decor with late night opening until 8 p.m. Festive music, refreshments and more. For more information, visit homeland.ie.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. At the weekend, Letterkenny Chamber held its awards ceremony, and Julian Ball of R. McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny collected this year's Hall of Fame award. And we're joined in studio by he. Good morning to you and congratulations. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. It's good to have you with us. And your son Gareth is with us as well. Hi, Gareth.
I've been roped along as well. So.
Yes, indeed. We'll see how much we'll need you. I'm only joking. Look, in the first instance, big congratulations, Julian. How did this go down with you? I suppose it's lovely to be recognised by your peers, but we're all different. Some of us, say, bring on the attention, and for others, we sort of more prefer to work quietly in the background. Which camp do you fall into?
I would definitely be. I'm a one-to-one, so I prefer to deal with one person, chatting to them in the shop. Whenever you're up on stage and everybody looking at you, it's not my particular field of it. But it's a great reward, great honour, and I'm very, very impressed. I'm very, very happy to get it.
We'll talk more about you, but let's talk more about the business because, McCulloughs have been in Letterkenny for a very long time. So talk to us about the history of the business coming into the town.
1869, Robert McCullough came to the town. He came from Enniskillen. We think Enniskillen. The history is a little bit sketchy at that point back then. But he would be a master jeweller, which means he would have trained 3 other jewellers to get the master status. Came to town, set up the business then. He had an only daughter called Jean McCullough, who would be my grandmother. And my grandfather married her and then carried the business on.
In the early stages of the business, do we know how it was set up? Because we've got this, this vision of a modern jeweller as yours is, and there are a few around. But I wonder, going back so long there, I wonder how it was presented, or how much was on show. Was it made to measure?
I know in my dad's day as well. My dad was Bertie Ball or Robert Ball, and there would be people come in to him and say, "Mr. Ball, I want a good watch." And he would go and get what he thought was a good watch for the person to suit their lifestyle and all that. Nowadays it's changed because people have a lot more information on the actual product itself. A lot of times they're coming in looking for something which may or may not be suitable for them. So that's where we're, as a company, we recommend what we feel is suitable for the person, a quality that we like. We don't have to stock things. We stock things that we feel are going to be good, reliable and suitable for the customers.
Yes, in different price ranges as well, but the same principles apply.
Yeah, and I suppose back in the days, back in the 20th century and into the 19th century, that would have occurred as well, that they would have stocked what they thought was best for the customers themselves.
And pardon my ignorance, would much of it have been made on site or...
Jewellery wise, jewellers can make the jewellery, watches and things like that.
No, of course not. They're specialists.
We can repair them and we can sell them and all that, but not actually manufacturing them. But with a good jeweller shop, we can work from building from the base upwards.
So talk us through as much as you can the generational shift in the business.
So back in the 1869 onwards, we've been Robert McCullough and probably his daughter working along with him. Then William Ball came in, worked along with them, and carrying on then into the newer generations, there would have been my dad and my uncle would have been running the business in 52 Main Street, which is where CT Ball is at the moment, or they've closed down now, but that's where the building was. In the 50s and 60s then, we would have bought the new premises down at 20 Main Street where we are at the moment. And I was mentioned before that I know exactly where my dad was on the day that I was born. He was in the solicitor's office signing the documentation on 20 Main Street.
Which is the current location.
The current location of it.
And there were 2 locations at that point, 20 Main Street as well. Did the brothers take a business each, so to speak, or did they mix between the two?
While they were still in the 50s and 60s, they would have had the 2 together. So the Main Street the upper Main Street at 52 would have been the jewellery, opticians, watches, things like that. The lower section then we did glass, china, giftware. So we did Waterford crystal, bleak china, things like that down below. Whenever my dad's family and my uncle's family were growing up, it was myself and my brother and then my cousins. So at that point in 1969, they decided to split it into 2 separate firms. We took the McCullough name down to 20 Main Street, and Cecil Ball and his son Lance would have opened up under CT Ball in 1969.
Mm-hmm. And then there were 2 jewellery shops then that were established. Obviously, not 2 that were established, but a second was then as well.
Yes.
So the other brother transitioned back to jewellery?
We both then did, I suppose, similar ideas. So up in CT Ball, they did the jewellery and watches and some china, and Dad would have opened up with jewellery, watches and china down below as well.
Brilliant stuff, okay. And at what point then, well, we know when you were born and we know what your dad was doing, right? But, were you always around the shop as a young lad?
I suppose, I remember being in and out of what we call the upper Main Street over the years. Then obviously when my dad had his own shop down below, I would have been in and out all the time. With a family business, you're never away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Even today with Gareth, I will still be popping into the shop, seeing how things are. When my youngest guy was born in 2000, I picked him up from the hospital, Katrina, and picked up Katrina and Joshua then. We actually did a delivery to a place outside the town to drop off some jewellery on the way home from collecting him from the hospital, because he was born in December, which is obviously a busy time.
I'm sure you were happy with that. Was there any other opinions in the car?
No comment. We will go no further with that.
I'm not going to dig any deeper.
Joshua didn't say anything.
It sounds
anyway.
like a fantastic anecdote from you. I'm just wondering, is there another version of this anecdote out there somewhere, you know?
Katrina knows that whenever Christmas is on, especially in the business, that December she doesn't see us,
because it's very much, and I'm sorry to ignore you, Gareth. Not my intention, but listen, we'll come to you in a moment. Now that I've got him on a roll, I'm going to keep going, right? Because it is incredibly returning customer of the community, that personal service. That I'm just thinking, you know, if a say for instance a man was coming in to buy potentially one of the most important purchases he'll ever make, you know, a engagement, for example, and he doesn't want to consult the other half. There has to be a level of trust there, doesn't there, and understanding and working with him and his budget, but also giving him real advice as what's on trend, what might work for how a person might feel, and you know what I mean. Yeah. So it's very personal. It's one of those trades, isn't it?
It is. A lot of times we've had the parents being engaged with us, and even the grandparents engaged with us. So we'd have 3 generations. And as regards kind of the different products and the different prices, Gareth, you're probably good at this, because with the new process of diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, you can adjust it to suit the price points.
But you can still have the same.
So
wow.
Going back to the way you were asking how old jewellers were run, we were probably run fairly similar, just with more modern techniques. The values and the quality aspect still dates back to 1869. So from that, we obviously keep up with current trends, but if a customer wants something made that isn't going to last them, we'll let them know that, and we'll guide them towards something that is actually going to last them, that they can still have, you know, the on-trend ring, but just tweaking it slightly so that it is going to last them years.
But you really have to have confidence in your business and your business model there, because for some you could be turning trade away, but you have to be honest with the customer, don't you? You have to say, this is the reality, because the raw materials you are working with are inherently expensive.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking gold, we're talking diamonds, we're talking, you know, the source materials come at a premium.
We've had to make difficult decisions in the past. We had a range of rings in, and after seeing a few of them, we just felt that the quality wasn't there, and we actually had to pull the whole range and replace it with something different. Yeah. And it was a difficult decision, because the price point we were selling was going from 500 to 800. We were now jumping that up to 1,200, 1,300 up. So it was a huge market that we were possibly alienating. But at the end of the day, it's the quality, and the customer has to be getting something that's going to last. You know, you want it to last a full marriage. You don't want it to, you know,
no, of course not,
break in a few years.
And maybe it is the same with jewellery. It seems very simple for us in terms of cars, right? Expensive car, good. Cheap car will get you where you need to be, but in terms of its resale value and longevity, we understand that. I wonder, does the customer understand that it's the same with many products, including jewellery? But that's your job to explain that. And
I think that's
clearly,
where we come in. We can kind of explain that to them and help them, guide them through that process.
Okay, we are in conversation with the latest inductee to the Letterkenny Chamber Hall of Fame, Julian Ball of R. McCullough Jewellers. Also have his son Gareth. We're going to come back after the break, and we're going to talk about Julian's education and I suppose getting into the business in earnest. That's just in a couple of moments.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you by Kiernan's Bistros at Letterkenny Retail Park. Our new second location is now open beside the new Dunn stores. Join us soon for good food and great coffee at Kiernan's Bistros, Letterkenny.
Tony usually hates her morning commute, but something is different today. Tony has a grin brimming from ear to ear and an uncontrollable urge to tap her toes. You see, she just switched to 48 Mobile, so she now gets unlimited data for $12.99 a month and feels like the smuggest person on the bus. 48 mobile. Good call. T's and C's apply. See 48.ie. $12.99 one-time activation fee. Unlimited data applies to ROI only. Subject to coverage.
Plan the perfect weekend escape from Donegal to Glasgow with Loganair. Enjoy convenient flights every Friday and Sunday with a complimentary 15 kg check-in bag. Experience hassle-free travel and book your getaway now at loganair.co.uk.
What if you could send a free chocolate bar in secret to someone special? Just to, give them a little lift. With the Cadbury Secret Santa Postal Service, you can send free chocolate secretly from a poster. They're popping up all over the country, from great big cities to quaint little towns. Look out for a poster near you or search Cadbury Secret Santa to find out more. 18 plus, free service on selected products while stocks last until December the 24th. For full terms and conditions, visit cadbury.ie.
Financial scams are everywhere. Scammers are using increasingly sophisticated ways to trick you. Fight back by staying one step ahead. The next time you get an unexpected call, text, or email offering you a financial product or requesting your bank or credit card details, ask yourself, is this a scam? Always check you're dealing with a genuine firm before giving your personal information or transferring money. To find out how to beat the scammers, go to centralbank.ie/financial scams.
Join Derek Ryan for a night of dancing in the Abbey Hotel, Donegal, this Saturday, 23rd of November, with special guests Keelan Brown and Jason McCowell. That's Derek Ryan live in the Abbey Hotel, Donegal, this Saturday, 23rd of November. Doors open at 9 p.m, pay at the door.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
Okay, so the weather forecast reads as follows. Cold today with frost and ice lingering throughout the day in sheltered spots. There'll be a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers, some sleet and snow. Afternoon highs 3 to 5 degrees. We're in conversation with Julian Ball of our McCullough Jewellerers and his son Gareth. Julian is the latest inductee into Letterkenny Chambers Hall of Fame. And I'm just curious as to your sort of transition into the business, because I suppose it feels a little bit like me to some extent. In the mid-teens, you left school, decided to go into watchmaking. Did that cause any issues? Was that what was expected of you? Did it just seem like the obvious decision?
I suppose it's kind of not expected of you, but there's an option there for it. My dad did take me out from school. I was in school in Sligo at the time. Went out for a wee drive in the car, and I was sitting in the back, mum and dad in the front. And he turned around and he says, "What do you want to be in life? Do you want to be a watchmaker or an optician?" And I thought, yeah, I like the mechanical aspect of things, the small parts, working with it. I have small hands, so they're very, very, very suitable for the job. And I thought, yeah, that'll be a nice job to go with. So at that point, I became a watchmaker, and then obviously learned the rest of the trade as we went along.
And is it sort of seen as an essential part of it, to have the watchmaking expertise? Or it's just the way your sort of dad influenced you? Because I think is it your brother also, Colin, became a watchmaker as well? Yeah,
yeah. It's not. There's a lot of jewelers, places that sell jewelry around the country don't have all the qualifications. It's always, to do a proper job, do a full job as a jeweler shop, you need the experience behind it.
Yes.
So whether it is watchmaking, whether it's jewelry repairs, jewelry manufacturing, or the associated trades like diamond graders, valuers, things like that, the more experience you have within the company, the better the company can be run. So
when then did you sort of take up your position in the business, right? Was that at 18?
At 18...
Or did you study and you were hands-on in the shop at the same time as well?
Well, once you learn, in the college in Dublin, the Irish Swiss Institute of Horology, whenever you leave that, you are a fully trained watchmaker.
Yes.
You then have to learn how to get your point across to the customer. So whenever whatever work it needs done, you have to get across to them. So you learn that on the floor, listening to my dad, listening to how he taught, how he kind of treated his customers, and I picked all that up. And I hope that my boys have picked the same thing as well onto the next generation then.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I don't know if people ever thought that sort of, analog watches, or however it might be described, might become a thing of the past. Obviously, there's a plethora of smartwatches and people use those and for keep fitness and what have you. But I think the impressive look of the type of watches that you sell and work on. And of course, there's hybrid watches as well, by the way. I'm not saying that these technologies can't be amalgamated, but it maintains the class of a watch. A good watch is always there. It's often a sign. It's something people will comment on, right? It's your shoes and your watch and something else. It's going to persist, isn't it? It's not going to become a thing of the past, I don't think.
I don't think so. There's always been trends back in the 70s. Then the digital watch came out.
Right.
People thought no one was going to buy a watch with hands.
How badly did people need a calculator to have a fully fledged full calculator button on their wrist?
Yeah. Did you have anything small enough to actually to press the buttons and work it all out?
No, but like, who thought, right, everyone's going to need a calculator on the wrist eventually? But anyway, that was another trend. And then I do remember for the younger ones, there was very basic games on them, but fundamentally it comes back to a watch is for telling time.
They moved then obviously to the likes of battery watches, and technology has moved on through now that we're with some of our brands, they only do mechanical watches again. They're back to what's called the automatic. So the moving the arm winds it, so you don't put batteries in it. As long as you wear it for a reasonable period every so often, it keeps the watch working.
And where are you at now in terms of your day-to-day involvement? Because I'm going to bring Gareth in a second.
Theory,
but I mean, you've been on it for 42 years now, right?
Yeah. In theory, I'm retired.
But you're like a tailor. My dad was a bespoke tailor, right? You never retire.
No.
Whilst you can still go in, you don't. You're still going to go in. And you're still going to be involved.
I'm in the background if Gareth or Joshua...
Is it the background, Gareth?
For the most part, yeah.
Or foreground?
I'm learning to keep quiet.
Gareth, so how similar is your story to that of your dad's? Did you complete your second for the secondary school, or?
Yeah, no, I completed secondary school. I actually went to college then, and I studied law. It was only when I finished my law degree that I thought I really don't like.
It's like the mafia, isn't it? Though you try and get away, but they pull you back in.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I decided then that my passion lay more in diamonds as opposed to watches or, the jewelry end of it. And I went to London for the over and back for the better part of 4 or 5 years and did my training. So I'm a fully qualified diamond grader. I've trained under GMA and GIA in London as well.
And the amount of studying you have to do to be fully qualified in your area is remarkable.
It's the final exam. We were given 6 stones. We're in a very small, dark room. You're given 6 clear stones. You have to identify correctly if each of the 6 stones are diamond or not. If they're a diamond, you have to fully grade them. You have to get 95% to pass.
You are one of a very small group of fully qualified people in this area, in this country, that is active.
I would say I know of about 6 or 7 in the whole country.
And also, too, you learned during your studies that you were colourblind.
Yes. 2 days before one of my final exams.
Is it a grade of coloured blindness? It must, because you
purple, yellow, grey, so I have difficulty with shades.
Yes.
Shades of grey specifically I can't really see, so to me it literally is black or white. I can't really see the in-between times, but it was 2 days before an exam.
So that means you faced an obviously a very, what would seem like a complete barrier, but an additional challenge to achieving the score required to qualify?
Not a complete barrier by any means. I sort of have to work backwards. So most people would start with the colour of a stone and work through it. I would work backwards, so I would do all of the technical testing, and it would lead me to a result that it has to be one of these 2 colours. And because I can see most colours, but I just can't see the shades within it. And for a lot of that, it doesn't really affect what I do and how I do it. I've adapted over the years. This was maybe 10, 12 years ago.
And considering how clearly we can trace the history back and the passing of this business through the generations, I mean, it must be a great feeling to be part of that.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know what we describe it, dynasties or whatever you might call it, that always has connotations, right? But just sort of something that multi-generational businesses that can be traced back continuously to a certain time. It's really quite a remarkable thing to be a part of, and clearly doing something that you love, because you tried law and you were drawn back to to the diamond side of it?
I always enjoyed being in the shop, whenever I was small, being in the shop as well. And when I went to secondary school in St. Junans, I would still come down, especially around this time of year, I would come down for my lunch and served.
It's a night time for scheming when your dad has your shop on the main street, isn't it? I wouldn't know anything about that personally either. But Julian, you're in a great position as well, that you've done your time. Look, you're not out of it. We know that. We've established that, right? But it's wonderful that you can see your business in safe hands and the bloodline continues.
Exactly, yeah.
It's very encouraging for you, isn't it? It's almost like your work is done, but I'm going to still work.
Yeah, and hopefully for generations to come.
Yeah, indeed. Well, listen, busy time of the year, isn't it? This time of the year, people still, I'd say you can recognise the different people who used to walk through the door, can you? That nervous fella that's never been in before.
Yeah, we're pretty good at spotting
pockets
engagement
deeper
couples.
than their arms, and those that are minted. And you, over the years, I'd say you can pick out the. I know which one I am. I'm the one that doesn't know what I'm doing. All right, okay.
We've great staff though that can guide people through.
No, of course, I know that, but of course you have to too, and it's a balance to let someone have a little look and then know when to go over and say, "Can I assist
when
you?"
people
But
want help.
Yous have mastered that at this stage.
And if someone wants to come in for a Christmas decoration, they'd be treated exactly the same they would be if they're coming for a diamond ring.
Yeah, I have no doubt about
Absolutely
that. I have no doubt about that. Gareth, anything you want to say about your dad?
No, it's the award is well deserved. From revolutionising by putting in a computer back in 1998, up until that we were handwritten. He's constantly progressed the shop forward. He's never sat still, and he's allowed me to progress it as well. Back, I suppose, before I was in charge by any means, I would have been allowed to do certain things that he probably knew were going to fail, but I think I needed that to learn.
It's a line, guidance, interference, and other things as well. It's you have to know.
If you don't fail, you never learn.
100%. Well, you're going from strength to strength. It's great that Julian obviously still has his involvement, but it's clear that the business is continuing into the next generation in safe hands, and as Julian says, hopefully for many years to come. And also, you're nice, young and healthy to be able to enjoy your Hall of Fame award. You know what I mean? It's not posthumous or anything.
No,
you can walk around with pride up and down Letterkenny Main Street. Brilliant stuff. Julian Ball, thank you so very much. Gareth, thank you for calling up as well. Both of you, really enjoyed speaking to you. That is Julian Ball of R. McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny, who is this year's recipient, or entry, I suppose, into the Letterkenny Chamber Hall of Fame, and joins some incredibly important names in the history of business in Letterkenny and surrounds. And Gareth as well, thank you for coming up, for your insight, and dare I say perhaps a little bit of moral support. We'll be back after this break. The news is going to be a little late.
Good day start with a great morning. Start your day at Kiernan's Bistros in Letterkenny Retail Park. If you're on the road or in the area, drop in for a great coffee and wholesome food. Kiernan's Bistros, proud sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Make Christmas for everyone at Dunnes Stores, with festive savings on a great variety of tasty treats, like Cadbury chocolate pouches and large cans of Pringles, now half price. And fill the fridge with a range of refreshing soft drinks, like 7-Up 2 litres and Club Orange 1.75 litres, also half price. Plus, you can save again at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. However you do your Christmas shop, make Christmas for everyone with Dunnes Stores. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used to next grocery shop with €50 or more. Prices subject to deposit return scheme fees.
Archives? Historic buildings? Museum-grade cases? It pays to be historic. If your organisation can contribute to Ireland's heritage, you may be eligible for a Heritage Stewardship Fund grant. Applications now open at heritagecouncil.ie/funding. Supported by the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
Spoil someone with a beautiful fragrance this Christmas from McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Choose by designer, budget or celebrity. Top names like Clarins, Burberry, Gucci and Dolce & Gabbana. Also great prices on Calvin Klein, Flower Bomb and so many more. The best fragrant gift sets available this year can also be found in McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, where the best costs less.
Call of the Wild, Donegal's newest outdoor store, is now open on Main Street, Letterkenny, with the best quality winter jackets, footwear, and everything else you'll need to get outdoors, whatever the weather. Also, a great place to find the perfect Christmas gift. Shop now and you could win back the cost of your purchase. Call of the Wild on Main Street, Letterkenny, also in Sligo and Westport. See callofthewild.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it's 2 minutes past 11. It's time for a news update, and we cross over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Health unions will hold a lunchtime protest in opposition to the HSE's pay and numbers strategy at Letterkenny University Hospital this afternoon. SIP2 Forsa and the INMO will protest at what they describe as the HSE's suppression of thousands of health posts. Forsa members are voting in a ballot for industrial action since the middle of last month, with that process concluding on this day week. The Forsa Assistant General Secretary, who is in Letterkenny for today's protests, says the ballot reflects the seriousness of the situation. It's been confirmed that day services are to be provided at Ballyshannon Community Hospital. The HSE has confirmed the rollout of the service on the basis that necessary staff are recruited. Long stay beds at the community hospital opened this week, with additional services, including dementia care beds, to be put in place in the future. A recent statement from HICWA indicated that residential and day services should not be offered in the same hospital building, but that will not be the case in Ballyshannon. The 4-week Buy Donegal 2024 campaign gets underway on Monday next, with businesses being invited to sign up to be included on a special portal, and people will then be urged to buy from those businesses locally. Over the last number of years, the Buy Donegal campaign has showcased almost 400 businesses to a global audience of 13.9 million. The 4-week campaign is urging local people in the county to ensure that their purchases over the Christmas period are made from Donegal-based concerns. Staff of the Irish Embassy in Kyiv are working from home as tensions escalate between Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine has begun firing missiles into Russian territory after a block by US President Joe Biden was lifted earlier this week. The conflict has been ongoing now for over 1,000 days. A general election candidate in Donegal says successive governments have abandoned workers in the education sector who've had to take extended sick leave because they were assaulted in the course of their work. Ainthú's Mary T. Sweeney says she has heard many difficult stories from teachers, SNAs and other key educational support workers who are being ignored by the Department of Education. And a leading charity says the rise in food poverty in Northern Ireland is a major concern. 35,000 food parcels have been distributed in the past 6 months. The Trussell Trust says although that figure represents a 13% decrease compared to the same period last year, it has almost doubled since 2019. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Donald. We'll have a short break and then we're going to be joined by journalist and author Cathy Donaghy, who wrote another interesting article recently.
What's that, Mr. Grinch? You've something to reveal? You are now a McDonald's Happy Meal. Well, this must be why you're so full of glee, which is a very rare sight for all to see. Oh my, and what's the reason? Ah, of course, it's the festive season. Choose a Grinch book or toy for your little ones until the 31st of December. Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal. Until the 31st of December, subject to availability from 11 a.m. Book or toy choices between toy or book, not the specific item or range.
Okay, good morning, Cathy. Cathy Donaghy, journalist and author. How are you?
Hi, Greg.
Great to have you back on the show. I mean, obviously, you're a prolific writer and write many articles and what have you, but an interesting one most recently, I hate the forgotten county tag, but Donegal's an example of rural neglect, is the headline. I'm not sure if you manufactured the headline or the editor did, but be that as it may, it is an interesting article. And I just we wanted to invite you on to talk through the points that you made. Good morning, Cathy. So, talk to us about the thrust of the article or the feature.
Well, I think I was writing about the election and trying to see the general election through the prism of the eyes of someone who lives in rural Ireland, and I suppose Donegal in particular, because it's a place I obviously know and I live here. I know it well. I've covered many elections over the years, and I was struck by how lackluster I find this one. And I was also struck by I'm watching the hustings and the canvassers out, and everything seems very East Coast. Everything seems very kind of removed. There's sort of like talk of the lattes and greystones, and I think they've made it as far as Monaghan. But I just feel like we're here on the wing of the plane, Greg, and I feel like there's issues. Obviously, our local politicians are out and all weathers and fair play to them. But I do feel like we're sort of removed from the action. Do you know what I mean? And I was looking at it with I suppose with through that lens, and then I started to dig into, well, what are the issues here? And when you look at the issues here, well, they're quite clear. Housing is obviously a big issue everywhere, but it's sort of very we're very impacted by the micro crisis. I also think that one of the biggest deals for Donegal, and it does not get talked about half enough, is our infrastructure and the lack of it. We are, if you look at a map of, and someone does this map every so often and they put it on social media, and it shows like the veins of infrastructure, from power plants to the rail links, motorways, all of the access, the things that make us viable.
So and also
you know that
too,
map I'm talking about, Greg?
yeah, exactly. There's a slight,
profit.
we just have a slight issue with Zoom today, Kathy. So I didn't mean to talk across you there. It's just pausing a little bit. We'll persist though. Yeah. Also too, when we talk about sort of rural issues, and you make this point in the article, and I want to hear more from you on it, it kind of gets drilled down to a couple of things. And what stood out for me was the Green Party manifesto, which they published recently. And there was talk about, rural transport. Sorry, not rural transport, public transport. And a lot of the big ones were in and around cities. And it feels like sort of we have local link and that's grand. You'll be happy with that. And we'll stick an extra bus on it and that's all it. But, when it comes down to what is rural issues, it kind of overlooks really rural life and drills it down to almost what city folk might think bothers us in rural areas. Is that that's the view I sort of was getting to from your article.
Yeah, and yeah, I think the transport thing really bothers me a lot, Greg. I remember, doing a story over in West Donegal, and I was going to Gweedore one morning, and when I was sitting in the car with my photographer colleague, he took a lovely video. We were going that road at the back of Errigal. And I remember posting it on my social media, and there was a car in front, I think, and someone came back and said, all I see is gas guzzling in Donegal. And, my response is, how do you expect me to do my work, to get from Inishowen at the north to Gweedore? I mean, am I supposed to, there's no train, the buses to link up to Gweedore. Am I supposed to get on a bike and drive? People, if you don't have a car in Donegal, how are you supposed to do anything? How do you, how can we manage? So yeah, I do think, there's a lot of talk on Lewis and a metro in Dublin, but we really need the basics. We're at the point of sort of going back to making us accessible. And I think businesses are really struggling to get new infrastructure and to get developments, and you need to access us. Another bugbear I have is people say to me, oh, I'd go to Donegal more if I could get there easier. We are no further away from the capital city than Cork or Kerry. Why does it feel that we are to people? It's because of the lack of a train line. That's the problem here. And the motorways, if you try to get from Derry to Dublin, you travel that A5, it's a death trap. Mm-hmm. It's an awful road.
There is,
and it is oversubscribed. I went to Dublin recently, and only I left early. It was like, it's awful.
Yeah, and the problem is we seem to have policies that we try to that are for urban areas, and we try to employ them in local areas. And there are many examples. So I'm not pulling this out of my out of the back of my head. Say, for instance, our policing model, the Garda model, is a model that works well in Galway, Cork, and Dublin. We employ the same system here, where cars are the policing is out on the streets, where cars are all over the place, but the county's so big it doesn't really necessarily work like that. Or the ambulance system. The way the ambulance system works up here is designed for a city. It's where one place covers another, but what happens here for us, it's Carrick-on-Shannon covering Killybegs and Killybegs covering Inishowen, and these are national models that generally don't work in a rural area. The planning model is to move everyone into urban areas to provide transport and services in more urban areas, but that doesn't really talk to living in rural Ireland. So the policies and some of the really big issues are actually not, they're not designed at all to promote or enhance rural life. To the contrary, they're designed effectively to depopulate rural Ireland. And of course, if you want to include farming, Kathy, plant trees where everyone used to live and farm.
I agree with you, Greg, and I think, this is a debate that we need to have, a mature, grown-up debate about what rural Ireland means. That's the starting point, right? Because rural Ireland, and the politicians, just as soon as they start talking about rural Ireland, they start talking about farmers, right? Like, there are, of course, there are farmers all around us, right? But most people living in rural Ireland are not farmers anymore. They do jobs, they work online, they work for a local company, they get in their car, they drive there. We need to have a mature debate about what living and thriving in rural Ireland looks like. And it's not to denigrate, what farmers do or their role in rural Ireland. That's not it. But as soon as you open up this debate, it's like, oh, you're having to go with the farmers. I'm not. I'm saying we need to have a grown-up debate about what we want for our lives to look like in rural Ireland. What services do we need? What, do we have Garda on the beat? Do we have access to an ambulance? How do we get to hospital? All of these things we need to look at them. Do we, your kids going to school, it would be nice to think they could stay in Donegal and have jobs here if they so wished. We need to have a grown-up, mature debate about rural Ireland that's not about dereliction, okay? And it's not about farmers. That is what we need to start talking about, all our lives, the lives of our neighbours, people around us. What do we want that to look like? And I think in Donegal we really need to, it's not, I don't see this being talked about it all. We're not getting into the nitty gritty of what this looks like. And I'm really sorry the forgotten county. I mentioned it in the piece, which is why it was on the headline. I hate the tag. I absolutely hate it. I don't want to do anything that talks down our county. Everything I do in my working life is to try and make this place better by focusing on it. But when you see that map, that infrastructure, and you see what we look like on a map, and you look at where the canvassers are and the hosting, it feels like we're removed. It feels like we're so peripheral to what's going on in government that we are forgotten. And then Micah add the tin or the hat on it altogether, and
this is maybe also too,
we do have neglect, and I hate to say it,
Of course, and that Zoom line's playing up on us. I really do appreciate your time, though, Kathy, and we got your points. Thank you so much for it. I do, as I say, appreciate it greatly. Kathy Donaghy, journalist and author, and I think too, and add to that, what happens, this is then we get people who are making decisions in Dublin, and they look at a map and they see Sligo almost as the centre of the northwest, and if something's provided in Sligo, well, that's good enough for Donegal, isn't it? But I also get where Kathy's coming from, as Tony does. Hi, Tony. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
You're agreeing with Kathy there. What's your view?
Oh yeah, 100%. This is kind of the forgotten part of Ireland, the northwest, you could say. They're talking about the Belfast Northern bypass. They've been talking about it now for 50 years almost. I worked in an architect's office way back and it was a line on a map that time, 50 years ago. It's still a line on a map.
Well, the only thing's changed, it's switched onto the other side of the towns.
What's that? Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's switched from east to west or west to east.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was on the the southern side of the town, you would call it, and now it's gone out to the westerns or the whatever. But it's still nothing's happened. They're still talking about it.
And you just obviously aren't being over parochial and talking about where you live. You've also referenced, the lack of motorways, the eternal hope of a train, to develop access to the region, to say, right, this is an important part of the country. Let's bring it into the fold with proper access.
Yeah, the only time Donegal's mentioned really is about the Wild Atlantic Way. Like that seems to be the big focus I have in Donegal this last couple of years now there. But there's more to Donegal like than the Wild Atlantic Way. Letterkenny is a disaster to get into Letterkenny or to come out of Letterkenny. And they spent a fortune there on that part of the road there from the Polestar over to the motorway, and it's actually worse now than ever it was. I don't know what to be thinking on these people that do these designs or these planners, whatever. where they're coming from and what they're at. But anyway,
I think, and we heard the phrase last week, I think it's desktop studies. It's desktop stuff. It's not necessarily local knowledge, people on the ground. And I think that is the problem, that this stuff is done remotely and not considering the reality of life here and trying to get around.
Yeah, well, listening to these people going around there now looking for the vote, looking for, the election coming up, I never hear any of them mentioning the infrastructure. It's all about trying to do down the other party, like Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil trying to do down Sinn Féin, or vice versa. That just seems to be the big chat always. There's no talk about what they can do to make things better, to improve things.
It is interesting because if you go to, say, for instance, the old Buncrana Town Council meetings, just using Buncrana as an example, or even the council meetings, you do get people from all different parties, but around that table, and it's the same in other municipal district areas, they do pull together but for the betterment of that particular region. You'll have Sinn Féin back in Fianna Fáil and Fianna Fáil back in an independent because it's there to better the region, and they're elected politicians as well. But you escalate that up to Chuck the Dolls, right? And next thing you know, it's national sniping on a local stage. There's no pulling on sort of the county jersey to work together actively to improve things.
That is exactly right. What you said there, Greg. That's right. I was just saying to Caroline there. If you take the like of Australia was only more or less been developed this last 200 years, where people went there to live and to. In fact, a lot of people that went to Australia, they were sent there as criminals from Ireland. A lot of for minor offences. It was part of the British government empire. As part of their policy that time was to get people into Australia to build it up, and they were sent there from all over the world. Most of them as for minor offences. But 200 years later, Australia is one of the most modern countries in the world, built up by people who were sent there for no good reason. Yet in all, this country is still 200 years, you could say, behind the times in places.
And going backwards, because if you go back 100 years, we had a train.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're 100 years behind were, Tony. Lovely to chat to you.
Well,
thanks for your views, Tony. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. God bless you. Take care. Right. So if you want to get around, maybe you do need a car, or maybe you want to change your car. Well, we've got your back here at Highland Radio, because it's time to mention the Christmas car draw. Yes, indeed. For those of you who have the spare finances for it and would like to have a bit of crack at a competition that's for us here in the Northwest, how would you like to win a brand new Toyota Yaris Cross? It's worth over 30k. We had the pleasure of launching this last Friday, and it's a competition, as I say, running here in Highland Radio. The lines close, the call will be given away on the 23rd of December. And you can pick it up early January because we want it on the new plates for you, right? So you want a brand new car. It is a brand new car, but you know what I'm on about. So you can come up and sit in it and have a look at it on the 23rd of December when you win it, and we'll have it on the new plates for you early January. Now, it's very simple to enter. You can log on to our website, highlandradio.com, click win a car, and you have two options. We've made it really simple. You can buy a single ticket for €15 or a tenner each, 5 for 50. So if you want to give these as Christmas presents, birthday presents, or just suit yourself, you receive an email with your tickets attached, by the way, and it could be you who's out of that draw drum on the 23rd of December. Between now and then, too, as we build up to the grand finale, there will be some, let me just put it like this, I don't know. But I'm assured that in the week leading up to the car draw, I wish I was told, because I think it'd work, I think it'd help. For you guys to know. But anyway, we will have extra stuff. You know the way it goes, don't you? That's in the lead up, the week leading up, potentially, or even in advance of that. I'm not really quite sure. I'm not paid enough to know this stuff. But all I know is that you can go onto the website, highlandradio.com, buy a ticket, buy 5. It's cheaper with 5, of course. And you could be in with the chance of winning this beautiful car. It is a stunner. Beautiful inside as well. It's got the screen inside. It's got Apple Play, so your maps pop up on the screen. It's got Android Auto for that. There's plug-in. You can plug your phone in any way you like and charge it. Heated. I was going to say heated air conditioning. It's got air conditioning and all the bells and whistles that you would hope for. It's a hybrid as well too, so you're doing your bit for the environment. If you want a ticket, highlandradio.com, win a car. Buy a ticket for 15, 5 for 50. If you don't want to do anything online, it's up to you. This is very safe and secure, but you can call up to us here at Highland Radio at the Mountain Top in Letterkenny. We'll sort you out during office hours, or give us a ring on the phone and we can process it there for you as well. But if you are not in, you cannot win. I think I've just made that up. I've never heard that anywhere else before. So buy your tickets now. Get in them nice and early, particularly if your low numbers are, because I think they're given out sequentially. So if you like your low numbers, now's the time to get in. Right, back with more after this short break.
Sponsor of the 9 till noon show, Kernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham, with ample parking for buses and large groups, delicious breakfasts and hearty lunches. It's the ideal spot for a quick bite or leisurely meal.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €7 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Easy Living Furniture's massive Black Friday sale is now on. Everything's reduced by up to a whopping 60% off on sofas, dining, bedrooms, mattresses, accessories, and Christmas. Like the new Ashbrook 3-seater power recliner sofa, now only $1,499, saving you £700. Exclusive to Easy Living Furniture. Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, London Derry. Don't miss out.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more this season. Like Tesco finest Irish sirloin joint with black pepper and sea salt, now half price. Or start the celebrations or heroes and more chocolate tubs, now 3 for €10. And stock up for the season with Pepsi Max, 7-Up Zero or Club Orange 18 packs, now €8 each. Helping feed your Christmas spirit. Shop in store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Subject to availability. Available in most stores. Prices vary in express stores. T's and C's apply. Deposit and customer quotas may apply. See tesco.ie.
Be the first to test drive the brand new Nissan Qashqai at iMotors. Low finance rates and up to €4,000 available on trade-in boosters. iMotors are offering any customer who orders before December 23rd the chance to win €10,000. Visit our showroom today.
iMotors. Fearless generation.
sé de híine an naolá fithe samhain lá na bhótála le haig ol tábhacháin na héireann. Agus inis an tam le fálam faoin na hiardachordaí tábhacháin iad a gháil cheantar, le go méid tú faoi réir le ráha é anamh lá na bhótála. Sé do bhóta dogha, cá bhóta an naolá fithe samhain. Ón Gomisiún Tábhacháin, Comisiún Neamhspleách Tábhacháin na héireann. Tá tuilleadh eolais electoralcommission.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
24 minutes past 11. Jerry McKeever, independent candidate in the general election. Hi, Jerry. Good morning to you.
Hello, Greg. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
No, it's good to have you on, Jerry. What's the point you wanted to make? It's in relation to our infrastructure, I think, isn't it?
Yes, I was out there and I caught the last little bit of that last item you did.
Yes.
Look, we're part of an area in the north and west that is 18% of the country's population. We get less than 10% of infrastructure spend. The stats just back it up. It's factual, Greg.
What do you think we need to be doing? Do we need to sort of do what we see in other countries where there's positive discrimination in terms of spend and development in, less serviced regions such as the Northwest? Positive discrimination, I suppose?
I think we probably do. You have to balance that up. I mean, we're getting nearly half what we should be getting. But I mean, like, my policies are actually very local, but they're nationalist because, builders say we can't even build, say, 30,000 houses a year. The government, I think, know this. They're promising 50 or 60. I could almost call my campaign project infrastructure. We need more electricity. We're going to run out of electricity in this country by 2030. Data centers are going to eat up. So, we need to do something to keep corporate Ireland in Ireland. We're going to lose that if we don't have infrastructure, water, sewage, etc., roads. We all know the story, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Irish Water would argue they've made significant investment, but one of the biggest barriers to development in this county, and I'll put this to the Taoiseach earlier this year directly to him, long before there was an election: where are you going to build the houses? What water supply are you going to plug them into? Where are people going to flush their waste? I mean, obviously in one-off situations it's different, septic tanks and stuff, but in terms of major development, what is the capacity for Mulville? What is the capacity for Buncrana to grow? What's the capacity for Carndonagh to grow? Donegal Town, Ballabafay, Stranola. These are all questions, infrastructural questions, I think, Jerry.
Well, Greg, developers will tell you that the capacity is not there at the moment. I think in Letterkenny, our sewage treatment centre is under pressure. Water supply isn't there. Personally, I believe what needs to be done is an awful lot of that Apple money, and everyone's suggesting how it should be spent. I think an awful lot, nearly all of it should be spent in infrastructure, water, electric grid, etc. My biggest fear is that the young are going to leave the country. They don't see a future for themselves. Not just the young, people out there earning a living. The government suggested the affordable houses are over 300 grand. We have to do something about this. And if we can actually invest massively in infrastructure, we can build in several more sites. I would suggest even the government produce service sites, locations different. For instance, let's say outside a village like maybe Creasla, who maybe struggling to keep their shops open, build maybe one of your little sites of 200 quarter-acre sites outside it and wire it up with water, electricity. But this needs a massive spend on infrastructure. Infrastructure is going to be the foundation of our future in this country. We can't build without it. It's a starting block, Craig.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of talk about affordable houses, and I get that, and we can bandy around the big numbers, but the bottom line is there's people living in Donegal now renting properties for twice what they'd be paying to own that property.
Yes.
But they can't qualify for a mortgage, and they can't save because they're paying double the rent as to what they might pay as a mortgage. So there's a lot of conversation about what an affordable house is, but at the end of the day, whatever it is, right, it's an asset. People are having to pay double what a mortgage might be in rent. Why is that? Why not look at that and close that gap so people aren't renting, but they're actually buying? And as I say, all right, if the house is $350, at least that's the value of their asset. I don't know. I'm not explaining it very well, but it doesn't matter how much my house is worth because I'm not going to sell it, right? But it does matter how much I'm paying per month to own it. And people at the moment are paying double for uncertain rental agreements than it would cost them to buy it. Let's make it more affordable then for people to buy it. And if the houses are more expensive, well, then that's a big asset that they have.
Well, for me, what the most immediate fear for me now is when the basic minimum wage goes up again in January, that the first thing landlords are going to say is, God, people have another 150 quid a month on their wages. We're going to bump around up in our 70. It's just a spiral.
Can I just say, Jerry, don't worry about the private rental sector. Look what the council and the state do. You get an extra $5, okay, in your pension, or you're living a loan allowance, or what have you. That year, there's an assessment of your ability to pay council rent. What do you think happens next? Your rent goes up a $5. All right, so I know I'm not taking away from your point about private landlords, but that's what the state does. They give you €5 an increase. You get assessed for how much you can actually pay for your council house, so they take the $5 off you. I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. So that's what we do. That's what's happening publicly, let alone. And you make, Jerry, listen, I'm not disputing your point about the private landlords as well, but I just wonder where we'd be without private landlords as well. No,
absolutely. But if you're renting at all, it's a minefield out there. Wherever you're renting from. My answer really, Greg, is massive infrastructural spend, free up plan permission to a massive degree all over the country, create service sites, and then allow people to build what they can afford. I mean, I've looked into an awful lot of modular homes, and wooden houses come in maybe 80% of a block house, modulars, which can be guaranteed for 25 years with shelf life of 50 years, come in maybe at 1,300 square foot, and maybe between 100,000 and maybe 170, depending on what you want to buy. That for me is affordable. These are good houses. You're going to pay 950 quid a month in a mortgage there, as opposed to what are you going to pay at the moment, and opposed to certainly 1,400 quid a month in rent.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing though about the planning too, right? Okay, loosening up the planning is fine, but you still have the infrastructural problem. Right, so you bring so obviously I presume you're saying that has to happen in tandem. That's great if you want to build a house to the N56 on your own land, one-off housing, no one's going to complain. But I'll tell you one thing, Jerry, in this county, you start trying to build houses with loose planning regulations around Donegal Town or Buncrana or Dunlow, and all of a sudden that suggestion from you starts getting quite a little bit of pushback. We're still waiting on a Tesco in Donegal town because everyone's bloody been objecting to it for 20 years. So it's not going to be necessarily a popular decision to play fast and loose with planning regulations.
Well, the other option is we keep going the way we're going, Greg. I mean, it needs something radical, something, a new set. I'm chatting here about the big picture. I mean, I know what we're going to do with people in the next year or so because it's going to carry on the way it's going. I don't think government policy is going to change an awful lot of things next year or two. We're probably going to see, I think a seed has to be planted now, Craig, maybe come the next time election, 2, 3, maybe 4 years' time, whereby we think different. It's got to be radical. We can go on the road we're going now at the moment and stay on the road and it gets more dysfunctional, more expensive. We have a spiraling inflation at the moment. Or we can actually look at the big picture and say, no, this must change. I mean, a lot of people that are objecting are going to say, fair enough, the house is a lovely place, their view is unspoiled. But the kids have gone to Australia and they're watching the grandkids grow up in Zoom. We have to have a major rethink the way we all think here. We've got to start critically thinking, what are we going to do to fix the big picture nationally? Because you can't fix Donegal until you fix things nationally.
A lot of people too go to Australia and realise that actually you have to work your ass off. And it's not necessarily that easy to bank money because all of the problems that we're talking about here, immigration, put the Australian people first, that's all happening in Australia as well as here. And there's people coming back here and we're making it very difficult for them to come back, to get on the road, to get a house as well. And I think, we also need to make it more attractive for people to come home. Teachers, their experience learned in Dubai or wherever they are should be counted for their career progression here. So when they come home, they want to come home. They've got somewhere to live, but also they haven't lost 3 or 4 years of their career as well. So we're going to struggle to get them back unless we change some of those things. I look forward to teasing it out with you more on Monday. You're in studio with John McNulty, Pat the Coke Gallagher, Mary T. Sweeney, Piers Doherty, Arthur Desmond McGuinness and Frank O'Donnell for our first of 3 election debates. For now, Slán go Fóill, thank you so much for your time. Jerry, that is election candidate Jerry McKeever. Any views on that? Let us know. 08660 25,000. Chris Ashmore is in studio with me. I'm going to chat to him after these.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kiernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham. Try our famous trucker stop breakfast. Fresh fish and chips or gourmet burgers. Delicious meals and welcoming service await you at Kiernan's.
At Specsavers, we've got hearing devices that can stream music or movies. Ones that are good in crowds, rechargeable battery ones that are good at home, ones that are good in the great outdoors, ones that connect to phones, ones that fit in your ear, ones that fit over your ear, ones that fit in wherever you happen to be. We've even got ones with the latest advanced tech, like the Phonak Infinio Sphere. And they're all available at great Specsavers prices. So book a free hearing check today. OK Hearing is not okay.
Hello, Widow Twankey here. Join me and my friends in the Millennium Forum this Christmas for the biggest panto in town. Aladdin is on from the 29th of November until the 31st of December, and it's going to be great cracks. Bring all the family. Get your tickets at millenniumforum.co.uk, and it's sponsored by the Richmond Centre.
Come and visit our Black Friday sale this November at Braden's House Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend. We have reduced recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses. And don't forget about our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on prices across all departments where prices are slashed in our latest sale. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Millionaire Raffle from the National Lottery is back. There's 1 millionaire guaranteed and over €6.3 million in cash prizes to be won. The draw is on New Year's Eve and tickets are limited to 600,000. Have you got yours? The National Lottery. It could be you. Gift responsibly.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas, Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Get ready for a night of great music at the Highland Radio Christmas Concert on Monday the 9th of December at the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny. Join us with an incredible lineup of Mike Denver and his band, John McNichol, Jim Devine, Donna Taggart, Owen Mack and myself, David James. Get your tickets now at the outlet on highlandradio.com or call 074 91 25000.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Guess who's back? Chris Ashmore, presenter of Business Matters. The podcast from Highland Radio is live right now on our website, and it's going to be broadcast for you on Sunday. We'll tell you more about that anon. But first, say good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Chris.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's like Ernie and what's his name, Morecambe and Wise. Say good night, Chris. Good night, Chris. Come with the old ones are the best. Not an old one, brand new one. Donegal Enterprise Awards 2024.
Yes, we're into the awards season, Greg, as you know, and the Enterprise Awards, Donegal Enterprise Awards, taking place on the 6th of December. And some very interesting businesses have made the shortlist. The finalists include, for example, Killybegs Energy, which is a wood chip manufacturing company. There's also Seabound Engineering in Greencastle, Ireland's leading boat builders of aluminium vessels. New Kid Coffee.
Where are they based?
In Greencastle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder, are they behind? There was a big launch of a yoke. Do they make commercial fishing yokes?
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
There was a big launch of a beautiful looking boat in. Can't remember. But anyway,
I'll look into that.
They might have been. Well, I'll need to give you a bit more information.
Yeah.
It's gone back a couple
have it
of
for
months.
next week. Yeah, the New Kid Coffee, artisan coffee brand based
Cranford.
in Letterkenny.
It was launched in Cranford. Sorry, it was launched in Cranford. Carry on. Sorry.
Okay. Then there's Huku Balance from Creasla. There's and the Institute of Study Abroad. Now, this is a company that's helping overseas students to learn about all aspects of Ireland. So a great variety, and also White Park Enterprises, which specialise in solar-powered robotic feeding systems and technology for remote animal care.
Yeah, fantastic.
So,
okay,
yeah, so
brilliant
much
stuff. There's some
happening there.
amazing businesses, and
There really are.
And
Yeah.
what they're doing is actually a lot of what you're doing is shining a light on them. A light well and truly shone on in a show and co-op.
Yes, well done to all involved there. A lot of hard work being done on the ground and their interaction with the community. They recently were awarded the Excellence in Community Outreach at the 2024 Octabill Awards, so it's a big thing in the trade. That was held up in the Mansion House in Dublin, so well done to them. And whilst we're on awards, a number of Londis retailers from Donegal honoured at the recent Londis Retailing Experience Awards. Carmel Boner of Boner's Londis in Convoy, Ken Foley of Foley's Londis in Drumlonagher in Donegal Town, and Kieran McKenna, who we have featured on this programme in the past, who is Londis in Buncrana and in Drung as well in Inishowen.
Okie doke. Now, we talked a little earlier to Julian, the recipient or the entrant into the Hall of Fame, the Letterkenny Chamber Hall of Fame. It was announced at the Business Awards at the weekend, Chris, and that's the focus of your first interview, or at least the first one you're mentioning today.
Yes, I've been speaking with Tony Forrester, Chief Executive of Letterkenny Chamber, about the Business Awards. Now, initially they were just based in Letterkenny, but they've branched out. You can be all over the county. There are a number of them that are restricted to Letterkenny, but it's grown over the years, and Tony outlined to me all the various award winners in the categories, and also a little bit about the Hall of Fame inductee, as you've mentioned, and the overall Business Person of the Year award.
Business Person of the Year. Now, this year it was People. So we awarded this year to Boyle Construction, Martin and Michael Boyle. We all know what Boyle Construction are doing locally at the town, and they have grown their business since the 80s. Their father and uncle set it up, but they've now taken it on. They employ about 75 people, and they're just well known for the quality of their work and what they're doing. So they're trying to grow their business in a very measured way, but keep that family appeal. So they were really popular winners. People know them very well. There's a lot of suppliers into them. So we were delighted to give that award to them.
All right, and a great night had by all. Now, Wild Atlantic Camp in Creaslough, cracking business. Still haven't managed, with all my positive mentions, to secure a free stay in the luxurious pods that they have at their disposal. I'm not giving up hope yet.
No, never give up hope. Yes, this is a great story. The brainchild of local man Lorcan Rorty. All started off with, I think it was 6 fairly basic pods, but they have developed the complex over the years down in Creaslough. They've now got luxury glamping villas and cabins and chalets. And with Christmas approaching, the team have been developing a number of seasonal offerings, which of course extends the season for them. And Diane Black, the site manager at Wild Atlantic Camp, has been telling me more.
Guest has 3 different types of accommodation. So it's an overnight stay with our glamping villas, our glamping cabins, and our new 2-story chalets. So guests come, they get an overnight stay, and we do have wee Santa's grotto. So the parents get to come and with the kids, and they get to go see Santa and do their Christmas letter and stuff like that before they go and see Santa.
Sounds wonderful, Chris. And as you say, it's extending out the season. And they do a great job there, because I spoke to them going back some time. They talk about the shoulders of the tourism season, don't they?
Yeah,
it's extending it, talking generally about tourism, sort of St. Patrick's Day to Halloween. But,
and
there's not that big a bridge to gap to keep it going,
Yeah, no, they have, for example, they have a Christmas party night. So you go down, you're glamping, and you have an option to go to a local bar and a restaurant. Something different, Greg, thinking outside the box. Yeah,
sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
That's for all your camping needs. Right, that's it, is it? Okay.
Just one other thing just to mention is the local enterprise office. Now, they have a very successful program. It's a trading online voucher geared towards people who maybe want to develop a website or upgrade, and certainly to enhance their digital offering. Just to let people know that the scheme's deadline for this year will close on the 13th of December, so don't miss your chance to apply if you're interested in that.
Chris Ashmore has his podcast available now from Highland Radio. It's on our website, highlandradio.com. It's there. All the back catalogue there as well, which is really exciting. And Chris, for those who want to listen at the weekend, when and where?
Highland Radio after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday, and you can email me if you want to contact me. The address is businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, great stuff, Chris. Thanks so very much indeed. Okay, heading into the last quarter of the last hour of the 9 till noon show after these.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you by Kiernan's Bistros at Letterkenny Retail Park. Our new second location is now open beside the new Dunn stores. Join us soon for good food and great coffee at Kiernan's Bistros, Letterkenny.
Le nísmó bailí fud na tíre, so lá rion do Hervís bus nasc le líonra per 5 TFI níos léhanna. So bhd suas le truca faoin géad nuair a úsáideann tú do charta líb TFI. Le haid tuile eolais faoi sléite agus amchláir tuaircuairt ar transportforireland.ie. Is sinne Transport for Ireland. Is muid dit.
Fly Donegal to Glasgow with Loganair every Friday and Sunday, giving you plenty of time to explore, shop, enjoy the nightlife or catch a football match. Plus, enjoy a free 15 kg check-in bag with every booking. Book now at loganair.co.uk.
Make Christmas for everyone at Dunn Stores, with festive savings on Guinness 15 can packs and Rockshore 12 can packs, now at the lowest market price. Choose from a great variety of tasty treats, like Cadbury chocolate pouches and large cans of Pringles, now half price. Plus, you can save again at the till with a 10 or 50 grocery voucher. However you do your Christmas shop, make Christmas for everyone with Dunn Stores. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in next grocery shop of €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly. Prices subject to deposit return scheme fees.
Is it true you have to finish the course of antibiotics every time?
Is there anything I shouldn't have when I'm taking my medicine?
Do I need to go to the doctor? Or is there an over-the-counter treatment for this?
We all want to make sure we're doing the right thing when looking after ourselves and our family's health. Your local pharmacist can provide quality, expert advice you can trust and advise on medicine to improve your symptoms if needed. Your local community pharmacy, always here for you. Brought to you by the Irish Pharmacy Union.
Visit the newly refurbished Kernan's Diner in Newton Cunningham with a modern new look but the same great food we're famous for. Satisfy your craving with our delicious breakfast, fresh fish and chips, gourmet burgers and tasty sandwiches. On the road or in the area, call into Kernan's Diner, Newton Cunningham. It's the perfect stop.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
Now, I'll start with a new weather warning. It's a moderate weather warning for low temperatures for Donegal. I'm not sure the significance of putting a colour on it, but anyway, look at... I can't be the filter on that. So very cold with widespread frost and icy stretches. Possible impacts, hazardous conditions on roads and paths. So it's a yellow low temperature ice warning. The severity is yellow and it's valid from 8 o'clock tonight through to midday tomorrow. So look, we're going to have to be extra careful on the roads. And the one thing I'll say too about the road treatment, it's not a panacea for all, if that's the right word. They're done early, but the temperature can get very cold again very, very quickly, and you can have, freeze, thaw with gritting and freezing. So I would never trust even a road that's treated to be ice-free because, as I say, it's not perfect. It's a system, but it is not perfect. Now, I just want to mention to not forget to tune in tonight, right after the 8 p.m. news here on Highland Radio. I'm very excited for the premiere of radio play Ballyglisane. It's set in a charming small town nestled in the heart of Donegal. It's a gripping drama series, and it introduces you to the lives and struggles and hidden secrets of Ballyglisane's residents. While a murder investigation unfolds, it's just one thread in the tapestry of captivating stories that makes up this close-knit community. So join us every week from tonight, starting tonight, as we delve into the lives of Ballyglisane's people and uncover the mysteries that lie beneath the surface. It's original production from Highland Radio, coming from the hand of our very own Michael Leddy, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not sure if I'll listen to it weekly or if I'll binge it. I don't know. That's up to you guys out there as well, because it will be available as a podcast. Kieran Sheridan is SIPTU organiser in Donegal. Good morning to you, Kieran. Thanks for your time this Wednesday morning.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning, listeners.
This crept up on me in that I only heard about it for the first time this morning, unfortunately. Health unions, they're holding a lunchtime protest. It's in opposition to the HSE's pay and numbers strategy at Letterkenny University Hospital this afternoon. So what really, I suppose, has led up to this action, Kieran?
Greg, it's as a result of a decision made by the HSE and Bernard Gloucester, something that's implemented in July. In effect, whatever numbers were in situ on the 31st of December 2023, that was the cap on employment. So there was another of factors there, people who had retired, vacancies or service developments. There's no wherewithal to recruit staff into those positions that were vacant on the 31st of December 2023.
So that is I'm not sure if it's a stealth situation, but that's a recruitment cap. That's an embargo, is it not?
Absolutely, it's an embargo by default. And what has also become apparent, which is very, very concerning, in 2023, the expenditure on agency staff was 647 million across the wider HSE. And now on most recent data in 2024, for the 5-month period up to May, it shows an increase of 10%. Mm-hmm. So by arbitrary taking the 31st of December figure, it has actually manifested itself in an increase in agency usage. So it has.
So just to be clear, pardon my ignorance, Kieran, but I'm asking these questions for me, but also the wider public then. So when we're told that recruitment is ongoing at Letterkenny University Hospital, that jobs are being advertised, that we need to do more to attract people to the vacancies that are there, are you saying that in reality, in effect, there is no recruitment ongoing at Letterkenny University Hospital in all areas or some areas or not at all?
Some areas there is recruitment ongoing, but there are positions that will become vacant since the 1st of January 2024. In effect, any vacancy position that wasn't filled before that has gone.
And does that extend to nurses, consultants, clerical staff?
All positions. It literally is. It's a very hard and fast rule that they've adopted. If you weren't in post on the 31st of December 2023, it's gone. It has disappeared. So for instance,
just to be clear, I'm sorry, Kieran. So say, for instance, there was approval for Letterkenny University Hospital to, let's just say, hire 10 nurses on the 30th of December. If those positions were still vacant come the 1st of January, effectively, that recruitment process is stalled from the start of that day.
Actually, worse, Greg, those 10 positions would have disappeared. There is no management in Letterkenny University Hospital or in any facility in the wider HSE does not have the permission to recruit into those positions that were vacant on the 31st of December. They have disappeared. So they have. Mm. And also, if you look at, let's say there's a service development in Letterkenny, let's say there's a new unit or in any of the facilities in Donegal, there is a cap on how many people can be employed. So you would have to source positions from someplace else. That is the more serious concern. There's no budget set aside for service development, so there's not. But yet we can increase the use of agencies.
Kieran, might I ask, is the freeze on home care packages and additional home care hours a separate issue? That's a separate budgeting issue, is it?
Well, it's a separate issue, but in effect, if you look at Letterkenny and we look at the delays on trolleys and admissions, the fact is there are people medically discharged in Letterkenny, but because of the delays in approving the home care packages and getting these so-called additional hours in effect in place, people are not being discharged back to their homes because the care packages aren't there to care for the people in their own homes.
Kieran, what are the gaps? Can you put numbers on the gaps then in terms of where we should be at, or at least where we would have been at with recruitment, and where we are at with this effective embargo? Is it easy? Nothing's easier, I suppose, with the health service. But so, where are the shortages? Can we put a number on them, or is it across the board?
Well, it's across the board, across each facility and across all grades. The difficulty we're having in Donegal is, if you look at the employment census that the HSE present, it indicates that there has been an increase in numbers over a period of time. But what it doesn't capture is proper safer staffing, as in it's based on historical needs. And also there's increased demands on the use of healthcare facilities because the population has grown in approximately 12% over since 2016. So that obviously has a knock-on impact. So it has.
All right, okay. This is the lunchtime protest start today. Thanks, Kieran. That's Kieran Sheridan, SIPTU organiser in Donegal. Should I have known that? I don't know. It's good information to have because no one wants the wool pulled over their eyes. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but just time to get some of your comments, and we've got so many. Please bear with us. We're getting through them. They're all read. None of discredited or not read, but it'll take me till tomorrow to catch up and get through some of these. This listener says 99% of Donegal doesn't realise how big an issue defective blocks are. Every manhole in this county is ready to disintegrate because they are built with these blocks. So many people are sleeping into this crisis. Ramelton's the only town I know of which has had some of these manholes replaced. When sinkholes pop up all over this county, remember I told you this, first time I heard that one as well. Successive Irish governments orchestrated the factors that make people emigrate in every decade since partition. If our young emigrate, they can't vote for change here or rise up against the two-party government who don't care about people, only about profits. Right, okay, that's another view. I think there's a long-term angle on it. I live in Buncrana. An elderly person with a heart condition arrived in Carndonagh and was then referred to Letterkenny. They were in the ED since 11 last night until 7:30 this morning. Buncrana has a brand new surgery and it needs to be opened. Nobody in Buncrana can be sick from 5 p.m. on Friday until 10 a.m. on Monday morning. Buncrana surgery should be open 24 hours. Letterkenny University Hospital needs to be upgraded to a state-of-the-art hospital. Greg, you said earlier that any teachers or parents that you speak to don't voice their concerns about SPHE. Teachers will not speak about it because they'll be called whistleblowers. Speak to me off the record then. Just give me a background. Speak to a teacher, ring up. Don't have to come on the radio. We won't say who they are. Tell us what's going on in the schools, what they're being asked to teach, what issues they have with it, how it's inappropriate. There are thousands of teachers in the Northwest. Any one of them That's all I'm looking for, is to speak to a teacher. I'm not saying it's not happening, but it's the biggest cover-up in history. If not one teacher, without any fear of having to go on radio or whatever, would ring up and from the actual classroom, not literally in the classroom when they ring us, and tell us what the story is. Tell me what the story is. But then the listener concludes, but let me remind you, you did speak with 2 parents on your show voicing their concerns about SPHE in schools. Of course, we will speak to people, but they were, on 2 occasions, stuff that they'd heard at a public meeting, not what their students had come back and said to them, look, Dad, Mom, this is what I was taught at school. What they were concerned about was what they were told, and it was based off the comments from that whistleblower. That's the public meetings were formed after that whistleblower. Okay, do you get where I'm coming from? I'm not disproving it. I just want more information. Greg, can you please remind donkey owners to keep their donkeys inside in this snowy wet weather, as their coats are not waterproof like other animals? That comes in from Anne, who is concerned. Hi, Greg. I heard that the local Link 966 route, Falkirk to Dunloe, was going to be reinstated back to its original service. Can you or your listeners shed any light on this? We can try and dig in and find out. I don't know that off the top of my head. And on it goes. Listen, thank you. More comments and more content coming for you live tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock. But that's where we leave.